the Interstellar Mecha cook. Greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement: this story is 100% epic fiction, so please don't attempt real magic. The results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author. We are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 401 Art Performance. Feng Zudi boarded the Shenyu with her plate, attracting countless onlookers along the way. But she could only keep her head down, silently chanting the mantra of forbearance, and then sat in the second-floor dining room, devouring her meal bite by bite, under the watchful eyes of Shen Jiayu. Meanwhile, Lin Miaomiao pulled out a bag of homemade 5-spice beef jerky and, in the lounge, she and her boyfriend were sharing bites of it. Their arrogance was outrageous, causing both singles and foodies to frown. "Give me some," Liu Kaoyu, always the first to step forward, asked. Lin Miaomiao raised an eyebrow, shaking the fragrant jerky in her hand. "Do you want some?" Liu Kaoyu nodded, drooling, and reached out to take it, but Lin Miaomiao shoved the jerky into Yu Hongwen's hand. Liu's eyes suddenly watered, and tears threatened to fall. "Miaomiao, you're eating alone," Liu Kaoyu pointed at her with a trembling finger, accusing her. "Wrong, I didn't eat alone," Lin Miaomiao denied shamelessly. "I ate with my boyfriend." Liu Kaoyu burst into tears. They were all in the same group. What's the difference between this and eating alone? Pigs, you just had a full meal and you're eating so many snacks again. Yu Zixin, who also wanted to eat but was arrogant, snorted, "Be careful not to eat too much and get fat and be disliked by the boss." Lin Miaomiao was furious. She just didn't give them a bite, but they actually cursed her like this. So she made a decision: I won't share the beef jerky in my space button with you. I'll save it for my brother to come and fatten him up. Liu Kaoyu and Yu Zixin, no, don't treat me like this. The Shenai landed, and everyone got up and got off the ship. There were a lot more people watching the performance today than yesterday, but it was normal. After all, many training fanatics thought watching a performance was a waste of time. However, the military felt that today was the last day, and it would be embarrassing to have too few people, so they forced everyone to be present. Especially at the closing ceremony at the end of the afternoon, all fleets had to form a formation and circle the stage before reseating themselves as a sign of solemnity. But to be honest, Lin Miaomiao also found the performances quite boring. Of the dozens of performances that morning, the only interesting one was the Yuanfang Fleet's military uniform show. The so-called military uniform show was actually similar to a fashion show, with dozens of men and women wearing military uniforms of different styles and colors taking turns to walk out, sauntering to the edge of the stage, saluting, standing briefly to show off, and then returning to the backstage. The uniforms were divided into men's and women's styles, so each walk was paired with a handsome man and a beautiful woman. Seeing this, Lin Miaomiao couldn't help but sigh. The interstellar world is truly a world of survival of the fittest. There are few ugly company commanders, especially mecha pilots. The talented ones all have excellent genes and good looks. Even in old age, they are still handsome men and beautiful women. But Lin Miaomiao was a little puzzled. Why are there so many different styles of military uniforms? I see that everyone's are the same. Do you think these uniforms are beautiful? Yu Hongwen asked. Do you want them? Lin Miaomiao nodded. They are very beautiful. The uniforms of our fleet are all the same color, which looks too monotonous. But military uniforms are very serious and sacred. Isn't it a little informal to make them so bright? Yu Hongwen smiled faintly and shook his head. It doesn't matter much. These are not formal uniforms. They are daily uniforms designed by the fleet itself. They can be worn at the base or in informal occasions. Shen Yu used to lack even training equipment, so how could she have the spare money to get her own team uniforms? You mean we can get them too? Lin Miaomiao's eyes became shiny. She liked staying in the fleet, and it would be even more perfect if she could wear more beautiful uniforms. Sure, Yu Hongwen nodded decisively. As long as it's not too outrageous, like too revealing or too colorful, the military will usually approve it. Lin Miaomiao was delighted. Such a good thing actually happened. When she got back, she'd make sure Kaoyu and Likin had a good discussion and designed a beautiful uniform. As for the fleet's lack of spare money for new uniforms, A certain wealthy cook didn't care at all. With only a few hundred people, 2 sets per person wouldn't cost many credits. At most, she could just donate a little. Following the uniform show, the next act was a mecha dance performance. 6 mechas of different colors jumped onto the stage and formed a triangle in the center. They raised their hands, kicked their legs, and twisted their heads in unison. Their movements were very pleasing to the eye, completely unlike the ridiculousness of her previous dances. How cool! Liu Kaoyu couldn't help but whistle, forgetting her frustration over not getting the 5-spice beef jerky. She turned to Lin Miaomiao and yelled, "Look how cool they dance." Back then, when I suggested I do the mecha dance, you said it was ugly. Lin Miaomiao deadpanned, "With your crazy moves, it's too hard to do it at this level. You'd better not come out and scare people." These mechas were all level 5, and the mecha pilots who operated them had exceptional control. Every movement was incredibly precise, neither fast nor slow. Even a moment's hesitation wouldn't have allowed for such a smooth, coordinated dance, and the mecha dance wouldn't have been so cool. Performing a mecha dance well requires both tacit understanding and ample practice time. Before the competition, they were so busy training and improving their skills that they hadn't had time to practice coordination. Liu Kaoyu was well aware of this, so she didn't really regret not choosing the mecha dance. Instead, she wanted to prove that her idea was a good one. It was a huge loss that everyone didn't adopt it, but she earned nothing but contempt. Liu Kaoyu was irritated. "Don't make it sound like you're a good dancer. You were just a messy, twitchy dance, too." "Yeah, that's why we can't put on a show like that," Lin Miaomiao admitted flatly, then wanted to bring up the past. "You guys are amazing, you actually put on such a wonderful show." The sarcastic tone made Liu Kaoyu cover her mouth. She quickly straightened up and looked at the stage. "Wow, this show is great. Let's stop chatting." Lin Miaomiao looked up and saw several scantily clad male soldiers on the stage performing a pole dance. Their bodies were sexy, their movements were so smooth, it made her blush, but she couldn't look away. "Kaoyu, I didn't expect you to like this kind of style," Lin Miaomiao said, unable to maintain her expression. She began to think that the man she met at the matchmaker's house that day might be a good match for her friend. Oh, right. She remembered the man had left his name and contact number, asking her to pass it on to Kaoyu, but she'd forgotten it since he'd logged off that day. His name was Xia. Xia Hao? Lin Miaomiao was absorbed in her thoughts, but Yu Hongwen thought she was too engrossed in watching the pole dancing on the stage. Feeling very annoyed, he reached out and pulled her over, saying coldly, "Stop looking. How dare you like someone so ugly, huh?" Lin Miaomiao was completely bewildered, not quite sure what he meant. Was he saying the soldier on stage was ugly? Subconsciously, she turned her head to check and realized, he's not ugly. He's quite handsome, and has a nice body. Yi Bingshan was instantly filled with jealousy, but he didn't try to stop her from watching. He pursed his lips, lowered his head, and leaned back in his chair, sulking. Chapter 402 Ranking Match Results. After the top 3 took the stage, the 5 marshals took turns offering a few bland words of praise. Then, 3 uniformed female soldiers presented the prizes. Lin Miaomiao couldn't see the prizes clearly from the distance, but based on past year's estimates, they were likely to be medals, temporary credit cards, energy cards, and valuable mecha parts. "I heard the first place prize is a level 8 energy card," Gu Xiameng said with envy. "Having a high-level energy card would give you extra lives in dangerous battles. Sadly, not everyone can afford one. There are so few high-level card makers these days. The highest-ranking card maker in the Federation is only level 9, and there's only one. The energy cards crafted by this level 9 master are completely inaccessible to ordinary people, and only a few marshals at the top of the empire are eligible. Unfortunately, this level 9 master is so old that he barely has the energy to create level 9 energy cards. He only creates a few a year, making them difficult even for the marshals. Aside from level 9 card makers, there are only a handful of level 8 card makers, with no more than 10 in the entire Federation. Those card makers, however, are typically found in super powerful families, and only wealthy families can cultivate high-level card makers. Level 7 card makers are quite common, and some medium to large-scale families can cultivate them. However, the energy cards drawn by these card makers are for family use and rarely circulate. Despite being only one level higher than a level 6 energy card, the price is several times higher. "If I can't buy it, I'll win it back," Lin Miaomiao also wanted the 8th level energy card. It would be prestigious even if she didn't have to collect it. Anyway, I'll have the opportunity to participate in the ranking competition before I become a 6th level mecha master. One day, I want to win first place, dream on, Gu Xiaomeng grumbled. There's only one energy card per year. From childhood to adulthood, I've never seen a female mecha master become a one-vote one champion. It's not that women are inherently inferior to men, but women have the responsibility to bear children. When they are young, their strength is not enough. Once they have accumulated a certain level of strength, they get married and have children, which delays their training. As a result, it is rare for a female champion to appear in the federal ranking competition. Decades ago, Wang Qingliu from Reina Star became the female champion. There's no reason why she can succeed and we can't, Lin Miaomiao said confidently. Gu Xiaomeng couldn't help but sigh at the mention of Wang Qingliu, the female mecha warrior. She was the idol that all female mecha pilots admired. She reached level 5 at the age of 30, became the singles champion in the ranking tournament at 35, and married and had children at 38. Her happy family didn't hinder her path to becoming an excellent mecha pilot. At 44, she became a level 6 mecha pilot, and before she was 80, she became a level 7 mecha pilot. With a happy family and superb skills, Wang Qingliu became the Federation's undisputed female warrior, and her future was naturally bright. Unfortunately, her beauty was short-lived. During an operation to strangle an alien beast, the female warrior met with an accident, was betrayed by a Federation traitor, and died at the hands of an Imperial spy. Keep working hard. Maybe what you said will really come true, Gu Xiaomeng said. Lin Miaomiao nodded earnestly. I'll definitely be able to. I have a feeling I'll go further than Wang Qingliu. After receiving the prizes, the top 3 remained on stage. The host directed them to wait by the side. They weren't allowed to put their prizes into their tethers yet, but held them respectfully. Next came the 4th through 10th place winners. This time, the 5 marshals remained silent. Instead, the 5 captains offered words of encouragement. The prizes were then distributed. After receiving the prizes, the 7 people took their places next to the 3rd place winner, standing along the circular rostrum, facing the audience and maintaining a distance between them. The next 90 winners had an even simpler process. Starting with the 11th place winner, those called took their turn to the stage. Female soldiers, carrying delicate baskets, stood at the 4 elevators, distributing prizes to each person who emerged. Lin Miaomiao, who was in 13th place, couldn't help but curl her lips as she accepted her prize. The prizes for the top 10 were all presented on trays with a few items, while the prizes for 11th through 100th place were all identical small boxes. The packaging was elegant, but the contents probably weren't worth much. It was a so-called consolation prize. After all, not making the top 10 in the individual competition, getting a consolation prize wasn't bad at all. Lin Miaomiao consoled herself, following the host's instructions and standing next to the 12th place. As she approached the edge of the podium, Lin Miaomiao realized why everyone was so closely spaced. There were more red circles around the edge, each with the same distance between them, presumably measured. She only had to stand in the circle marked 13. Lin Miaomiao placed the number 13 under her foot with a steady, unhurried demeanor. She stood at attention, expressionless, her eyes focused on her nose on her heart, not daring to look around. The first person to go up on stage to receive their award is so unlucky. There are so many people behind them. How long will they have to stand? Lin Miaomiao muttered dejectedly, hoping that the process of receiving the awards would be faster. Although they often practiced standing at attention during fleet training, standing in public was really awkward. Fortunately, the awards were received quickly. The host no longer called out the names of people intermittently, but called them out in a smooth and continuous manner. The recipients also rushed to the podium efficiently. After the top 100 people had received their awards, Lin Miaomiao thought she was free. However, she was surprised that the host did not rush them off the stage. Instead, he joked with the top 100 people, especially the few female mecha operators, who were all called out by name. When it came to Lin Miaomiao, Hu Shun said, "Our 13th place winner is a cool young beauty, under 20, and quite capable. Her hands are especially red, and she's incredibly lucky. I reckon she'll never fail in the lottery." This was implying that her placement in the top 100 was all down to luck. Lin Miaomiao couldn't help but glare at the smiling Hu Shun. She wondered if it was better to keep the truth to herself, or else she'd be murdered. Fortunately, Hu Shun was a quick-witted man. After sensing the murderous aura emanating from Lin Miaomiao, he immediately changed the subject, no longer dwelling on her luck, and moved on to teasing the next person. After standing in front of the podium for a quarter of an hour and listening to Hu Shun's endless ramblings, everyone, who had been so anxious they were about to jump off the platform, was finally told they could leave. They began to leave, starting with the first person, and returned to their seats. Confused about the significance of standing there, Lin Miaomiao returned to her seat in a daze. She didn't even bother to unwrap the prize in her hand, simply tossing it into the space button. Gu Xiaomeng, who leaned over to see what it was, puffed her cheeks. "Why don't you unwrap it and take a look? At least let everyone see what the Federation has given us," Gu Xiaomeng said, visibly frustrated, but afraid to speak loudly due to the inappropriate situation. Having already put it away, Lin Miaomiao didn't bother to take it out again, so she said seriously, "This is my first prize since joining the fleet. I have to treat it with respect. I'll shower and wash my hands after the opening ceremony and return to the fleet before unwrapping it." Gu Xiaomeng thought, "There's nothing wrong with a little cook, right? It's just a consolation prize. Is there any need to treat it so seriously?" Thinking about it, she felt relieved. Winning a prize in her first year in the fleet and her first ranking competition was a good start, even if it was a consolation prize. Besides, she was lucky this year. What if she was unlucky next year and didn't win? She really had to be more cautious. Chapter 403 Ranking Match Results. After the awards ceremony for the top 100 in the individual competition, it was time for the team competition awards. Every fleet received a share of the prizes, the only difference being the quantity. The prizes were diverse and varied, including training equipment, mechas, mecha parts, energy cards, credits, and more. Of course, the better the ranking, the more prizes you'd receive. In previous years, Shen Yu only came to claim her consolation prizes on the final day of the ranking tournament. Even a small reward is still worth a bit of meat, and it's better than nothing. Unlike the individual awards ceremony, the team awards were presented by calling the bottom 50 to the stage first, and naturally, the captains of each fleet received their awards. Luo Jia's captain wore a bitter expression as he took the stage. Their fleet had always ranked second to last in the ranking tournament, but this year, after finally making a difference, they were now last. The thought of Shen Yu breaking into the top 50 filled his heart with a tingling sensation. Not only Captain Luo Jia, but the captains of other fleets whose rankings declined all looked unhappy. Although the previous team competition method was not very scientific, it was better than this year's. Some fleets were in the top 50 in the past, but they were in trouble after the change in the competition method. They met strong opponents in the first game and lost miserably, and their rankings plummeted. Because they were not happy, a small incident occurred at this award ceremony. Some captains refused to accept the awards after they came on stage. Instead, they called it unfair. Those fleets with poor strength climbed into the top 50, while the strong ones fell. Such a competition does not show our strength at all. It is purely a competition of luck. The 5 marshals sat in their seats calmly and did not speak. The other generals naturally did not know how to say anything. Only a few captains cursed the idiots in their hearts and scolded them. Luck is also a kind of strength. You can't blame anyone for your bad luck. Why don't you step down quickly? The protesters were of course not convinced and opened their mouths to say something, but Hu Shun spoke to smooth things over. The competition system has just been changed this year, and there must be many things that are not done well. If you have better suggestions, you might as well draft a proposal and submit it after you go back. Anyway, the ranking competition is held once a year. If the results are not good this year, you can come again next year. Then we will definitely discuss a fairer way of competing. Everyone thought about it and felt that it made sense. The results were out and they would definitely not be changed. They could not compete again, so they could only wait until next year. The awards ceremony finally continued. The last 50 received their awards and left the stage. Hu Shun then began calling out fleets numbering 11 to 50 to come forward and receive their awards. When it came to Shen Yu, Yi Hongwen didn't immediately take the stage to receive his award. Instead, he turned and gave Lin Miaomiao, who was in the third row, a deep smile on his face, a gesture that betrayed his good humor. After all 40 fleet representatives took the stage, Lin Miaomiao noticed that the trays the female soldiers presenting the awards were much more ornate than the previous ones. She immediately frowned. It was just a tray, why did they have to make them different? What a waste. The tray held several items, and the other captains were all holding them one by one. Yi Hongwen frowned and snatched the tray away, finding it easier to carry. Seeing this, the captains of the other fleets followed suit. After all, the military didn't need a few trays. The female soldier presenting the award said, "These aren't fleet captains, they're just robbers." They didn't even spare a tray. The prizes were once again displayed on the stage. Lin Miaomiao had figured it out. This was probably for everyone to take photos or to capture screenshots for the live stream. The difference was that, because the group winners had higher ranks, they only stood together for 5 minutes. Then came the award ceremony for 4th to 10th place. Following a poor example, the award trays were whisked away, leaving the female soldiers presenting the awards practically in tears. Why were they all just a bunch of thieves? The much-anticipated top 3 were finally announced. Everyone who had watched the competition knew the outcome. Only those from Shenyu, who had been punished and didn't attend the finals, felt the excitement of the mystery unfolding. This year's top 3 were similar to last year's. First place was once again the Central Legion's Jinghong Fleet, second place went to the Zhuangwu Legion's Washuang, and third place had changed, the White Tiger Legion's Fuxi Fleet. Captain Fuxi's face was flushed with excitement when he came on stage. He felt even more elated when he heard the words of encouragement and praise from the 5 marshals. Anyone could see his excitement. When he received the prize, he almost snatched it away, as if he was afraid that the other party would regret it and take it back. The onlookers in the audience couldn't help laughing. Why is this Captain Fuxi like a bumpkin who has never seen the world? His hands are shaking all the time, Gu Xiameng muttered softly with disdain on her face. Actually, you can't blame him for not being calm, a male team member sitting on the other side said with a smile. In previous years, it was never Fuxi's turn to be the 3rd place. It was always Meng Jia and Yuan Feng who took turns. He finally made it into the top 3, so he must be very excited. It's no wonder. Even Yi Hongwen, who never shows his emotions, was also very excited when he came on stage just now. Perhaps because they were worried that the tray would be snatched away, the tray used by the female soldiers for the award ceremony was gray and inconspicuous. It was the kind of cheap stuff that you could buy a dozen of for 100 credit points. Lin Miaomiao guessed that perhaps all award trays would be replaced with this kind in the future. The prizes for the team competition were also awarded. Hu Shun said with a beaming face, "Everyone has put the prizes in their pockets. I guess the most concerned issue now is the final ranking of each fleet after combining the results of the individual and team competitions." At this point, Hu Shun paused, as if to keep someone in suspense. "Do you want to announce it now, or wait until the closing ceremony to notify the fleets directly?" "Of course we should announce it now," the crowd in the audience shouted in unison. "Stop keeping us in suspense." Hu Shun laughed. "I get it. It seems I'm going to die if I continue to whet your appetite. I'm going to be put in a sack and beaten on the way back. Okay, please look at the big screen. The champion of this year's ranking competition is the Jinghong Fleet of the Central Legion. Oh, we won." Cheers broke out from where the Jinghong Fleet was sitting. "We are still the champions." Okay, just cheer." Hu Shun made a quiet gesture. "Next I'm going to announce the runner-up, the Washuang Fleet of the Zhuangwu Legion." Following his words, the words on the virtual screen transformed into the Washuang Fleet, and now it was the Washuang people's turn to cheer. The 3rd place was not Beihu's Fuxi, but Suzaku's Yuan Feng. Although they lost in the team competition, many of their players made it into the top 100 in the individual competition. Shenyu's final ranking was 45th, and it was also because several people in the individual competition made it into the top 100, which pushed the result up 2 places. This made everyone in the fleet extremely excited. What was even more exciting was that after all the names were announced, Hu Shun announced another good news on the spot. In view of the rapid progress of the Shenyu fleet, the military has decided to double their military funds this year. We also hope that other fleets will learn more from Shenyu and strive to change their rankings next year. Chapter 404 Sheng Ruinen's Condition. The fleet's performance exceeded expectations. After returning to base, Yi Hongwen decided, "We'll have a buffet tonight to celebrate our success and a reunion dinner." The mention of a reunion dinner reminded Lin Miaomiao that it was the end of February, the Interstellar Spring Festival, and her first spring festival in the fleet. This made her excited. She wondered what it would be like to have a reunion dinner with her friends. It would surely be better than the chaos and crying children at home. After the Shengyu returned to base, Lin Miaomiao didn't even return to her dorm, but headed straight for the kitchen. The closing ceremony was late, and if she had gone back to her room before heading to the kitchen, Lolly would probably have already prepared dinner. As she expected, several robots had already washed and cut the ingredients. Lolly stood at the energy stove, about to start the fire, but Lin Miaomiao quickly stopped her. "Lolly, wait a minute, start the fire. We need to reconsider the menu for tonight's buffet." Robot strength was their unwavering obedience to their master's orders. A human would have questioned her before considering whether to obey, but Lolly stopped immediately. "Master Miaomiao, do you have a menu?" Lolly asked sweetly. "This was a last-minute decision, so we don't have a menu yet. Let's go over it together," Lin Miaomiao said after a moment's thought. "Everyone's happy today, and it's Chinese New Year, so we definitely need to prepare more to eat, plenty of it." Unfortunately, Yi Hongwen spoke too late. She had forgotten it was Chinese New Year, otherwise she would have roasted several whole alien beasts, and there would still be plenty of alien meat in the freezer. After some discussion with Lolly and Number 1, the menu is quickly drawn up. It was all about fish and meat: steamed pork with rice flour, braised pork belly, big plate chicken, mouth-watering chicken, roast duck, chopped pepper fish head, steamed yellow croaker, shrimp, 4 happiness meatballs, braised lion's head, stewed beef, fried chicken legs, fried chicken wings, lotus root shrimp, and so on. When the menu came out, Lin Miaomiao realized belatedly that there were no vegetarian dishes, so she quickly added some hot and sour shredded potatoes, shredded cabbage, stir-fried lotus root slices, and stir-fried lettuce. The buffet didn't include rice, but to ensure everyone wasn't hungry, she prepared a few filing staples, including osmanthus rice cakes, steamed dumplings, fried noodles, and small cakes. Mecha operators couldn't drink alcohol, but they couldn't go without drinks. The warehouse was low, so Lin Miaomiao planned to buy a few dozen boxes on Star Online. Entering the supermarket, she saw a sale on pears and had a second thought. She bought a few boxes of pears and dozens of pounds of rock sugar and logged off. After logging off Star Online, the Lolita girls had already found the ingredients for the menu and were washing them. She then cleaned 2 large stainless steel buckets, filled them with water, and placed them on the energy stove. When the pears arrived, she washed and cut them, then added the rock sugar and boiled them for an hour. This resulting pear water was both healthy and economical. Before the water had even boiled, the fleet's delivery robot arrived with a package. Once again impressed by the speed of the delivery, Lin Miaomiao invited the Lolita girls to join her in washing and cutting the pears. The candied pears were being cooked, and Number 1 and the others had cleaned up the ingredients. Seeing that it was getting late, and fearing a delay, Lin Miaomiao and Lolly decided to cook together. Number 1 would fry the chicken legs and other snacks, while Numbers 2 and 3 would clean up the second-floor dining room and set the tableware. Halfway through the cooking, Yi Hongwen quietly walked in. "Are you ready yet? Is dinner going to be delayed?" Concentrated on cooking, Lin Miaomiao was startled by the sudden noise and dropped her spatula into the wok. She patted her chest and turned around, her face stern, accusing him. "You're scaring me. You're scaring me to death. Are you planning to scare me to death on Chinese New Year?" A smile flickered in Yi Hongwen's eyes, and he said smoothly, "Sorry, I forgot you're timid and shouldn't have spoken so suddenly." Lin Miaomiao snorted. The apology was insincere, but today was a holiday, a good day, and she didn't want to argue with him. So she dropped the subject and turned to answer his question. "You just said when you came back that we would have a reunion dinner tonight. There are a lot of things to prepare and time is very tight. The dinner will probably be postponed for half an hour. Please inform everyone, okay?" Yi Hongwen started editing the message without saying a word, and sent it to all the members of the fleet. After editing, Lin Miaomiao breathed a sigh of relief when the dinner time was changed. There were too many dishes, and it would take a long time for her and Lolly to cook together. The extra half an hour would finally give them a chance to breathe. But thinking of the reunion dinner, she suddenly remembered one thing: how is Sheng Ruinan now? Has his mental strength stabilized? Of course, she was not concerned about Sheng Ruinan, but there was a teammate in the fleet who was taking care of him in the hospital. They were having a big dinner and celebrating the holiday in the fleet, and they couldn't just abandon a teammate who was taking care of the patient. Yi Hongwen understood what she meant and said calmly, "During the closing ceremony this afternoon, I asked Zhao Cheng to check on her. Her mental strength hasn't stabilized yet and is showing signs of decline. Fortunately, the injuries in her mental realm are already healing. The hospital said that it's useless to stay there, and we can take her back to the hospital at the base to be well cared for until her mental strength stabilizes. To be precise, Sheng Ruinen's mental strength wasn't just showing a tendency to decline, but had already declined severely, plummeting from level 5 to the early stages of level 4. It hasn't stabilized until now, and the doctor has given her a death sentence, saying there's no chance of her cultivating back. However, there's no need to talk about such an unlucky thing, so as not to affect her good mood. After all, Sheng Ruinen had lived in the fleet for several years, no matter how bad her condition was. To end up in such a miserable state, even if it was her own fault, everyone couldn't help but feel sorry for her. She's showing signs of decline, so she'll be furious, Lin Miaomiao muttered to herself, then realized, so, she's also returned to the fleet. Yeah, Yi Hongwen nodded casually. She's been sent to the infirmary. She's being looked after by robot nurses. So there's no need to send anyone to take care of her. She's very emotional, and she'd often cause a scene in the hospital, cursing the medical staff's ancestors and all that. That's why the hospital insisted we bring her back. Being so arrogant in a military hospital was perfectly normal for her to be disliked. If it weren't for the fact that an unprofessional and unruly female military doctor had offended Lin Miaomiao and been punished when Sheng Ruinen first arrived, exposing Shen Yu's connections and causing the staff to be wary, the hospital would probably have returned her to Shen Yu long ago. Even so, Sheng Ruinen had suffered a lot on the hospital. Her caregivers couldn't be there 24 hours a day, and those doctors with connections weren't just punching bags. It was common for them to take advantage of her absence and visit the ward to mock her. Lin Miaomiao didn't ask any more questions. She didn't intend to inquire about Sheng Ruinen's affairs. There was a lot of accumulated hatred between the two of them. She was kind enough not to add insult to injury, so she wouldn't be so naive as to care about her. If she didn't mention it, Yi Hongwen would not mention it either. The kitchen fell silent again, leaving only the clattering of cooking. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 405, Reunion Dinner and Benefits. At 6 o'clock, the people who had been lingering outside the cafeteria bravely rushed in. Since they didn't have to wait in line for food today, they headed straight for the second-floor dining room. Seeing pots of fragrant meat laid out on the tables against the wall, everyone was so happy they almost fainted. The hot pot a few days ago didn't have so much meat. Today, I must eat all you can eat meat, Liu Yifei vowed, slurping his saliva. Luo Cheng sneered, that's all you can do. You're a squad leader after all, and you're such a glutton, aren't you afraid of being laughed at by your subordinates? Who dares to laugh at me? Liu Yifei glared. Unless he doesn't eat, then he has no right to laugh at me. Forget it, Luo Cheng. You'd better stop talking to him, Wen Zixi snorted. We'll never understand a foodie's mindset. Let him be. I just hope he doesn't get sold out one day because of his food. Liu Yifei didn't bother to pay attention to the two men. They were just pretending, thinking they'd regret it later when the good food ran out. He hurried to the food selection area, intending to grab more food before it was too late. He wasn't just talking about getting more. After learning that tonight was a buffet, Liu Yifei prepared himself. After taking the trays and dishes from the sterilizer, he pulled out a large insulated lunchbox from his space button and openly filled it with meat. The people who were also picking up their food were stunned. What a shame, Luo Cheng and the others, who had followed a step behind, wanted to find a hole to hide in. How could they have a companion possessed by a pig god while packing food from the buffet? I'd better go get some drinks first, Wen Zixi said, turning decisively. It's embarrassing to follow him. It lowers my standards. Let's go together, Luo Cheng and Fan Lei echoed in unison. After packing up a large amount of meat and placing the large insulated lunchbox securely into the space button, Liu Yifei contentedly took the plate and began to pick up his food, completely ignoring the admiring glances from those around him. When Liu Yifei left the food selection area with a tray full of food, the shocked crowd finally breathed a sigh of relief. They had almost thought that Captain Liu would take all the meat. Oh, how shameless. He packed up the food before anyone else even touched it. Liu Kaoyer sighed heavily, It's really shameless, Fang Licken comforted her. It's okay. The kitchen cooked a lot of meat today. Even if he packs up the food, you don't have to worry about not having enough to eat. Licken, you're overthinking it, Lin Miaomiao said coldly. She's regretting why she didn't think of this good idea of packing up the food. No way. Fang Licken widened her eyes, and then realized that this was not impossible, because Liu Kao had already turned her eyes away guiltily. I'm hungry, I'm going to get the food, you guys hurry up too, Liu Kao yelled and strode towards the disinfection cabinet. Needless to say, she wanted to change the subject. Fang Licken gritted her teeth. Foodie. Could she and Liu Yifei be siblings who have been separated for many years? Zhu Chen's mouth twitched suspiciously. Speaking of which, some things will be exposed one day no matter how hard you try to hide them, such as the siblings Lin Miaomiao and Lin Xianhao, and the two Lius who are too strong in their foodie attributes. I just hope that on the day the truth is revealed, they will cry less. Of course, they are not siblings, and they hide things because some things are too depressing to talk about. The issue of seniority and address is really a flaw. Speaking of which, Zhu Chen discovered that this matter was also because he accidentally overheard it one day in a certain month of a certain year, and was unfortunately caught. Then, he was threatened by Liu Yifei to keep it secret. Although he was not afraid of threats, after all, they were all friends, and it was not a secret that endangered everyone's safety, so he agreed. Ashen, Yu Zixin pushed his boyfriend who was lost in thought. What are you thinking about? Everyone has gone to get their food. If they didn't go over now, only vegetables and staple foods would be left. Looking at the posture of that group of people, they were eager to fill their plates. Nothing, Zhu Chen smiled gently. Then let's go over quickly, don't let them take everything. Lin Miaomiao, who had already picked up her food, found a place to sit down. Although she went late, she came back very early. She didn't have too much on her plate, just a few of her favorite dishes. Not long after, Fang Licken also came back. Liu Kao, who went first, was still lingering in the food selection area. Fang Licken took a few bites of the food before she realized something was wrong. She asked, biting her chopsticks, Miaomiao, where is the boss? Did he say it was a reunion dinner? He has something to do, Lin Miaomiao answered vaguely, but didn't say much about what it was. No way. What could possibly happen at this hour? Fang Licken said, a little suspiciously. The ranking tournament was over, and it was a holiday. How could there be any urgent matter that wouldn't even allow him to make it to dinner? Lin Miaomiao stared at the ceiling, unsure how to respond. Ye Hongwen had nothing to do and had come to the kitchen early to keep her company, but she was bored and asked him if he had prepared any holiday gifts for everyone. After all, she had worked with him for a year, so she should give out something during the holidays. At least there's something to look forward to, so everyone knows they're following the right boss. Ye Hongwen raised an eyebrow at this, but readily agreed. Okay, but what kind of gifts should we give out? I have no experience. Lin Miaomiao, also inexperienced, naturally let him handle it. It didn't require anything expensive, anyway. Ye Hongwen glanced around the kitchen, nodded, and left, asking her to leave some food before leaving. Thinking of the large lunchbox of delicious food in the space, Lin Miaomiao couldn't comment on Liu Yifei's packing just now, because she had done the same thing. Liu Kao finally returned with a tray full of food. Just as she was about to speak, Ye Hongwen and Gu Qingheng entered, and everyone urged them to eat quickly. If you don't come soon, the food will be gone, someone laughed loudly. Ye Hongwen and Gu Qingheng didn't rush to get their food, but instead stood in the middle of the dining room. Gu Qingheng clapped his hands and said, everyone, please be quiet. We have an announcement to make. Everyone looked over, curious about what could be happening at this moment that warranted such careful attention from the two captains. Would you please move aside, Gu Qingheng said with a smile, negotiating with the people at the middle table. They quickly moved their plates. With the table now empty, Ye Hongwen casually placed his hand on the table and pulled out a stack of red boxes. Those with sharp eyes could already make out the words on the boxes, Zhang Yang crystal apples. Boss, Lieutenant Gu, is this the fruit for everyone after dinner? Liu Yifei asked with a foodie spirit. Ye Hongwen remained silent, and it was Gu Qingheng who answered, I guess so. The captain said everyone's worked hard all year, so today, for the spring festival, he's giving everyone some benefits. Each person gets a box of apples and a box of oranges. Line up and get them. Everyone then realized that the boxes looked about the same size, But they actually contained two kinds of fruit, half apples, half oranges. This benefit was quite substantial. But what was wrong with the boss, who had never given out benefits before? Was it a whim or was he just going crazy? Chapter 406 Confusion. After the ranking tournament concluded, everyone in the Shinryu fleet, newly promoted to 45th place, was elated. The players who had participated in the tournament were especially elated, their steps swaying with a sense of levity. The following days of training were filled with a sense of restlessness, completely unable to concentrate. After days of inefficient training, Gu Qingheng, the training leader, lost his temper and once again ordered everyone to clean the base. This time, both men and women were forced to stand outside in the cold wind. After a day of sobering up, everyone realized a significant problem. Lin Miaomiao had become much more enthusiastic during training. Specifically, she stopped chatting during training and rushed to do extra training every day, which gave them a sense of crisis. Yu Zixin said, "Miaomiao, who always finds excuses to slack off, is training so hard. Why should we continue to be lazy?" The other players then began to work themselves to the bone, working themselves to the bone every day. This frenzied state of mind seemed to harken back to the intensive training before the ranking tournament. Lin Miaomiao, even lying down, was caught on the crossfire. If you want to train hard, then train. Why are you dragging me out to the wall again? I'm tired of it. Infuriated, Lin Miaomiao trained even harder, determined to become stronger. When she surpassed these bad guys, she would teach them a lesson and show them why flowers are so red. Actually, flowers come in white, green, purple, and so on, colorful colors, Liu Kaoyer said, seemingly asking for a slap. No matter how Liu Kaoyer provoked her, Lin Miaomiao temporarily ignored her. A few days ago, she'd felt something was amiss with her mental power, but after training, she'd dismissed it as an illusion. But recently, she'd discovered that wasn't the case. Her mental power was indeed changing, as if any sense of it signaled a breakthrough. These days, in addition to her regular training, Lin Miaomiao spent her time in the mental power training room, practicing over and over again. Even when her mental power reached a bottleneck, she remained calm, quietly sensing the location of the next small point, cautiously trying to overcome it. After trying again and again, but always ending in failure, Lin Miaomiao was a little discouraged. She didn't understand what was going on, because she always thought she could get through it. This day's training ended in failure again. Lin Miaomiao, who had gained nothing, returned to the dormitory dejected. She was not in a hurry to take a shower, but directly threw herself on the bed and rolled around. Whenever she encountered something she couldn't figure out, she loved to vent like this. When Yi Hongwen came back from work and saw her rolling around on the bed, he was a little surprised. "You haven't been very tired from training these days, how come you are still so energetic? Why don't you take a shower and go to bed early?" If she was not tired, could she consider doing some other exercise to prevent her from being too energetic and unable to sleep? After all, it was late at night. Although the latter part of the words was not said, Lin Miaomiao was very clear about what he meant, and immediately hummed in dissatisfaction, "I'm so annoyed about the bottleneck issue, and your head is full of unhealthy things." Yi Hongwen raised his eyebrows, sat down calmly on the edge of the bed, and retorted righteously, "This is a major life event, what's unhealthy about it? I'm too lazy to argue with you," Lin Miaomiao said weakly while lying on the bed. "I'm only thinking about the bottleneck problem now. I obviously think it's okay, why can't I get through it?" "Well, since such a serious issue has been mentioned, Yi Hongwen can't be serious either. Have you felt that the bottleneck has loosened?" Lin Miaomiao said confusedly. "I don't know if it is, I just feel that my mental strength is a little different. It seems that there is no longer the tense feeling as before, as if I can make further progress at any time." "Then what did you feel during training?" Yi Hongwen asked. "Yes," Lin Miaomiao's feelings were clear when she mentioned this. "I have a hunch that if I push through, I'll break through. But, I've tried many times, and every time I can't connect." Yi Hongwen pondered for a moment, and then he had a guess in his mind. "You are always cautious and tested every time when connecting? Have you tried not paying too much attention to that point, just maintaining your usual speed and moving forward directly?" Lin Miaomiao looked up suddenly when he heard this. "Will that work? Will it?" The lesson of forcing her way through the bottleneck last time was still in her mind, so how could she dare to force her way forward? Dr. G said that if she accidentally injured her spiritual realm in the next 2 years, it would be difficult to recover. It was precisely because of this that Lin Miaomiao was very careful when practicing, for fear of repeating the same mistake and making things irreversible. Yi Hongwen guessed a little about her thoughts, so he patted her on the back and explained, "I'm not asking you to force your way through. I'm asking you to treat it as a place you could have passed a long time ago, and connect to it naturally. The most taboo thing to do when practicing during the bottleneck period is to force a breakthrough, but when you feel the bottleneck is loosening, hesitation and cautious testing can also create an illusion." Lin Miaomiao suddenly realized, so the reason she couldn't break through was because she was too nervous and hesitant? Fear of getting hurt would make her hesitate, and once she hesitated, the connection would not be smooth? No, she had to go and try to see if what Yi Hongwen said was right. If she was weighed down by something, she couldn't sleep at all. "I'll go to the mental training ground and try it." Lin Miaomiao jumped out of the bed and ran out barefoot. "Wait," Yi Hongwen snatched her back and held her in his arms, saying with a mixture of laughter and tears, "The training grounds are closed. There's no point in going now. Let's wait until tomorrow." Lin Miaomiao was unhappy and struggled to break free from his embrace. "You know, I've been thinking about breaking through this bottleneck for the past few days. Now that I have a direction, how can I not give it a try?" However, the training grounds at the base closed at midnight, and the doors to the other side were also sealed. For a while, she really couldn't practice. Her heart felt like it was being held by a cat. The pain was unbearable. She paced around the room anxiously, not knowing how to stop thinking about it. Ever since she figured it out, she had been longing to become stronger day and night. She was so close to the final step, but she couldn't take action. "Is this serious? How about we do something to distract you?" Yi Hongwen suggested maliciously. "Bad idea." Lin Miaomiao stopped, turned around and glared at him fiercely. "I'm not in the mood to joke with you now. Get out of the way. If you make me feel bad, I'll send you back to your dormitory." Yi Hongwen shook his head helplessly. This must be because she is obsessed with breaking through. Never mind, since she wants to break through so much, as her man, he has to help. "Let's go. I'll take you to the training ground." Yi Hongwen stood up and pulled her out. Lin Miaomiao was stunned. "Didn't they say it was closed? Why are you running?" Then he thought of his identity. As a captain, he can enter such a place whenever he wants, without having to worry about whether it is closed or not. After figuring it out, she stopped struggling and let him pull her forward more obediently, but she couldn't help complaining. "Since you had a way, why did you deliberately make fun of me just now? Who told you to ignore me so often?" "A few days ago, it was because I was angry, and these days it's because you are busy with training." Yi Hongwen complained resentfully. "You are busier than me now." Lin Miaomiao, "So, Captain, are you complaining again?" Chapter 407 Breakthrough of Small Bottle Strength. When they arrived at a mental training building, the door was indeed closed. Aside from the streetlights, everything was pitch black. Yi Hongwen pulled out his ID card and swiped it on the reader. A small fingerprint reader popped up from the door, and a mechanical voice chimed in, "Please verify your fingerprint." "I swiped my card and still can't get in." Lin Miaomiao frowned. This was too much trouble. "For safety reasons, the training equipment is very expensive," Yi Hongwen said as he verified the fingerprint. Ding. Verification passed. The fingerprint reader retracted, and a square facial recognition screen popped up. "Please verify your pupils and face." Yi Hongwen stared at the reader, his eyes wide open to compare his pupils. The door to the mental training building automatically opened at 7 a.m. and closed at 12 p.m. If someone wanted to open the door in the middle of the night, they had to swipe the captain's or deputy captain's ID card and go through a series of verification procedures. Everything else was fine, but Yi Hongwen was frustrated. This staring, verifying pupils, was such a disgrace to his girlfriend. Even her expressionless face had become strange, her eyes and mouth curved into wide arcs, leaving only her face expressionless. After the verification was passed, the door opened silently, and the two of them took the elevator directly to the 4th floor. The intelligent robot responsible for guarding the building automatically followed them. At this point, all the equipment was powered down. Yi Hongwen said to the robot, "Turn on the power to the equipment on the 4th floor." "Understood," the robot replied, and went to the control room to turn on the power. A few minutes later, the signs in each small room on the 4th floor illuminated, indicating that the equipment was functioning normally. Lin Miaomiao opened the nearest door, but stopped just as she was about to enter. She turned back to Yi Hongwen, wanting to say something, but hesitated. "Come in." I'll be waiting for your good news here, Yi Hongwen said with a faint smile. Believe in yourself, you can do it. Lin Miaomiao nodded firmly, resolutely turned around and walked into the training room, muttering to herself, I believe I can do it too. Once inside, she didn't train standing up as usual. Instead, she sat on the floor in the middle, closed her eyes, and began to mentally trace the path her spiritual power would take. The complex map in the air gradually brightened from the beginning, the light moving rapidly, and soon a third of the map was illuminated. Lin Miaomiao felt that the training speed this time was 3 times faster than usual, and her confidence in a breakthrough was even greater, and she was even more excited. However, halfway through the light, approaching the small bottle of energy, she subconsciously paused. When she realized what was happening, she could only cry out "oh no," in frustration. Her spiritual power collapsed, and the map, which had been illuminated for a long time, suddenly dimmed again. I actually got scared, Lin Miaomiao grumbled. It seemed her courage had indeed dwindled. She'd been so prepared, yet she couldn't overcome this hurdle. I don't believe it will happen again. I know the problem, but I still can't overcome it. She immediately rallied and began a new round of training. She continued to light up the map smoothly. Even when she reached the small bottle of energy, she showed no fear, directing the light point forward at lightning speed. After a few seconds, she opened her eyes dejectedly. Still no success. Her mental power had reached a bottleneck, but she continued to push forward. However, the small point seemed to be starving, constantly absorbing mental power without even lighting up. In her anxiety, she poured in more mental power, only to have it collapse again. This continued several times, and the bottleneck remained stable. Lin Miaomiao felt her mental power was starting to wear out. She'd already practiced for quite a while today, and it looked like she was reaching her limit. No, she was getting a little anxious. This state wasn't conducive to breaking through the bottleneck. She needed to calm down before continuing. After hitting a bottleneck, she consulted numerous others about their breakthroughs, but everyone's situation was unique and impossible to replicate, so their experiences were meaningless. Lin Miaomiao sighed, beginning to feel a bit too eager for quick results. She could have rested for a night before trying again, but she couldn't wait any longer. Thinking of Yi Hongwen, still waiting outside for her news, her heart suddenly settled. Let's try again, Lin Miaomiao whispered to herself. Whether I succeed or not, I'll stop here. I can't keep him waiting outside. Resolved, she slowly closed her eyes, not rushing to illuminate the tiny dots. Instead, she used her mental power to examine the entire map. The 4th-level maze map was composed of thousands of tiny dots, and the routes were chaotic. A single misreading would lead to the wrong connection, and all her previous efforts would be wasted. She observed carefully, double-checking her route before continuing. This time, she didn't speed up, but rather lit up the dots at a leisurely pace, as if she were simply practicing a routine exercise. Her mental power flowed down the route like water. 10 minutes later, the bottleneck reappeared before her. Her mental power flowed smoothly over it, absorbed and replenished. The dot refused to light up, so she continued to steadily inject mental power. It seemed like an eternity, yet it also seemed like only a moment. A soft buzzing sound echoed in Lin Miaomiao's head, then quickly calmed down. The dot, having been fully absorbed, finally lit up. Her mental power quickly crossed the barrier and continued forward, though her speed slowed. It took a great deal of mental power to light up a single dot. After struggling to light up 10 dots, her mental realm protested, and the feeling of exhaustion grew more pronounced. She decisively withdrew her mental power. Lin Miaomiao opened her eyes and looked up, only to see that the illuminated map in the sky hadn't dimmed quickly. The remaining mental power within it still remained illuminated. After a long pause, the map gradually faded. Only a dozen have been lit up. That's too few, Lin Miaomiao said with a frown, her nose wrinkled in dissatisfaction, but her heart was filled with joy. As long as she broke through the small bottle of strength, it meant that her mental strength had increased again. Even if it was just a little bit, she was very satisfied. Thinking of Yi Hongwen, who was still waiting outside the door, she felt a sense of urgency to go out and share with him as soon as possible. She hurriedly stood up, but then realized that her legs were numb from sitting too long. She stood up and fell back uncontrollably. Having learned her lesson, she didn't dare to stand up suddenly again. She gently pounded and kneaded the numb areas. When she felt the pain eased, she slowly stood up and moved out the door step by step. After opening the door, Yi Hongwen was still standing there waiting. Seeing her strange posture, he went forward and hugged her. "What's the matter?" Lin Miaomiao replied with a grin. "I sat on the ground for too long, and my legs are numb." It took me a long time to recover. Yi Hongwen was quite speechless. He simply picked her up without asking her if she succeeded or not. Let's go back and rest. Chapter 408 Exploration Mission. Breaking through a minor bottleneck wasn't a big deal, and there was no need to disclose it. After a night's rest, Lin Miaomiao's mental strength returned, and she resumed her training as usual. Her strength had only increased slightly, and she felt more comfortable fighting human mechas. Most mecha masters of her level suffered minor losses at her hands. Then, news of her breakthrough leaked out. Everyone expressed envy and jealousy at the news. She was already a 4th level mecha master at the age of 20, and within a year, she had also successfully broken through the minor bottleneck. How could ordinary people like them survive? Lin Miaomiao and her friends were calm and didn't feel jealous at all. When someone with bad intentions mentioned it, Yu Zixin said, "The young master is very busy. How can he have time to be jealous? Besides, if she can become a senior mecha master soon, I can also benefit from it. Although Zhu Chen hasn't encountered a small bottleneck yet, he is not in a hurry. I just need to not be suppressed by Ozin. Besides, I believe I won't fall too far behind. As long as I work hard, I can do it." Fang Licken is very confident. "I have reached the threshold of level 4, and you will receive good news from me soon." Liu Kaoyer didn't think there was anything wrong with it at all. She only cared about one thing: breaking through the small bottleneck is a good thing. "Miaomiao, do you want to make a big meal to celebrate?" The foodie's train of thought is completely incomprehensible to everyone, so Liu Chihiro was severely scolded by several friends. "You only know how to eat. Do you still want to reach level 4 early and go on missions with everyone?" "I do," Liu Kaoyer said tearfully. "I'm working really hard right now, but I'm exhausted every day. I'm seriously lacking in nutrition. Miaomiao, please feed me." Lin Miaomiao was completely irritated by this shameless behavior, so she could only dig out a box of 5-spice beef jerky to appease the foodie. Liu Kaoyer slurped down the delicious beef jerky, and the others were furious. The crying baby gets the milk, so shouldn't they cry too? Fortunately, Lin Miaomiao didn't have such a bad taste. She had already made a lot of beef jerky to share with everyone, so she gave everyone a box. Just a few days after the breakthrough, the fleet received a new mission. This time, it wasn't a rescue or alien beast hunt, but an exploration mission. At the border of the Jinyun and Kaya star regions lies a region of undeveloped small planets. These planets are relatively small, and many people hope to find habitable ones. Planets with limited populations are generally sold to wealthy families for development, rather than being wasted by the Federation. However, despite the abundance of planets, few are habitable. While many families hired explorers to secure first-mover rights, few found any success, and gradually, the fervor for exploration waned. However, just when all families had given up, a spaceship, struck by a meteorite in space, forced to land on a small planet for recovery. There, they stumbled upon a high-grade energy mine. Because the family responsible was too small to capitalize on this enormous opportunity, they reported it to the Federation in exchange for a hefty reward. With the energy mine, the Federation would surely not sell the planet. However, sending workers to mine the mines also required ensuring their safety. Therefore, Shen Yu's mission was to investigate any potential dangers on the energy planet and, if so, eliminate them. After discussing with the captain, we've decided that this mission shouldn't be too dangerous, so all members are welcome to participate. It's just that it's an unwritten rule across fleets that mecha divisions below level 3 aren't allowed to go on missions, so we won't force it, Gu Qingheng said to the audience with a smile. Later, members below level 3 who want to participate can sign up with me. As soon as Gu Qingheng finished speaking, a flurry of discussion erupted in the conference room. Mecha divisions above level 4 were definitely going to go on the mission, but only the level 3 divisions were a bit undecided and began to consult one another. "Captain, do you have anything else to add?" Gu Qingheng asked Yi Hongwen, who sat to the side with a cold, handsome face. "No," Yi Hongwen shook his head, then stood up and raised his voice slightly. "Team members who participated in the mission, pack up and go directly to the waiting area. Mecha operators of level 3 and below who are willing to go, please sign up with a deputy captain, and he will arrange for everyone to board the ship." Dismissed. With these words, Yi Hongwen walked over to Lin Miaomiao, who was dozing in the back row, and pulled her out of the meeting room first. Liu Kaoyu and the others glanced at each other, then jumped up and rushed to Gu Qinghen. They had to act first. Once everyone had digested the two captains' words, they would definitely choose to go. They didn't want to have to wait in line to sign up. Now they began to regret why they had sat in the last row. With someone taking action, the others also realized that the deputy captain had said the danger was not great and was willing to take the low-level mecha operators. So what was there for them to worry about? They hurriedly stood up and followed to sign up, and Gu Qinghen got busy. Seeing the team members rushing to sign up and scrambling forward, the gentle Gu Qinghen began to resent them. He couldn't help but mutter, "All you do is talk, and push everything onto me." Unfortunately, no matter how much he complained, the people had already left, and he was helpless. He could only shout loudly at the swaying team, "Be quiet, or don't go." This statement really worked. The team members who had been restless before now lined up obediently, as if the scramble just now was just an illusion. Gu Qinghen knew it wasn't an illusion, but he wasn't in the mood to arrest anyone and punish them severely. He could only rub his nose and sigh at his lack of authority. If that iceberg were still there, who would dare to mess around? No wonder they were about the same age, yet he's already a level 6 mecha master while he's still stuck at level 5. Gu Qinghen sighed, casually pointing to a female team member who had just finished registering. "Hey, you take care of the registration. I'll maintain order." Liu Kaoyu, who had rushed to the front, thinking she'd gotten a great deal by not having to queue, burst into tears. If she'd known she'd be forced to do hard labor, she would have just stood in line. "Good job, Liu Chihou. We support you morally." Yu Zixin patted her shoulder with a swagger, then shouted, "Hurry up and register my name and information." Liu Kaoyu glared, turning the computer's input system towards him. "Enter it yourself. Or don't blame me for changing your given or last name." Yu Zixin was frustrated. "Captain Gu asked you to be in charge of the registration. How can you be so irresponsible?" he protested, but to avoid being maliciously changed, he obediently entered his name into the computer and immediately went to his beloved boyfriend for comfort. With that in mind, Fang Liqin automatically entered Liu Chihou's name without him even asking. Before leaving, she said coldly, "Actually, Kaoyu, being the deputy captain's assistant wouldn't be a bad idea. You'd be free from all the thoughts of eating besides cultivating." Liu Kaoyu, what did she do to deserve such a joke from her friends? Gu Qinghen, standing by to keep watch, seemed lost in thought. This idea seemed good. The captain was too unscrupulous, pushing all the chores onto him. He should probably find someone to run errands. Chapter 409 Heading to Energy Star. After registering the third-level mecha divisions who were going and integrating the team, the Shenyu was ready to set off. Liu Yifei was going to be left behind to guard the base again, but this time he was determined not to do it. He hugged Yi Hongwen's thigh and begged with tears and snot, "I also want to go out for training, otherwise when Fox will be able to easily kill me in the future." Yi Hongwen remembered that he had not been on a mission for a long time, so he agreed. However, there had to be someone left at the base, and anyone who stayed would probably have an opinion, so he said, "You can go if you want, as long as you find someone to take over the job of staying behind. That's easy." Liu Yifei wiped away his tears, turned around and smiled maliciously at Fan Lei. "Lizzie, how about you stay and rest for a few days?" Fan Lei was naturally unwilling. "I also want to go on a mission. It's so boring to stay at the base." Although seeking help seemed to have failed, Liu Yifei was not in a hurry, and said meanly, "I thought we were brothers, so I saw someone taking pictures of a girl a few days ago and kept it a secret for him. I remember the girl's name was." Fan Lei's face paled. He hurriedly stepped forward to cover his mouth, gritting his teeth as he said, "Little Liu, shut up. I promise you, don't I? But this is just this once. If you threaten me with this again, I'll beat you so hard you can't even take care of yourself." Woo woo. Liu Yifei tried to say something, but his mouth was covered, so he could only nod his head in agreement. Regardless of how difficult the negotiation process was, after the deal was reached, Liu Yifei proudly departed with the main force. Everyone was a little disappointed that the gossip about Team Fan, so rare, hadn't been leaked. For safety reasons, all level 3 mecha operators were assigned to the Shenyu, as the main ship's defenses were more robust and easier for the team leaders to manage. Team members who hadn't been on a mission had to register with Wu Xin for their room assignments, so Liu Kaoyu and the others had to queue up in the lounge with Grimace, while Lin Miaomiao waited nearby for their companions. At this time, the warship hadn't taken off yet. Gu Qingheng and Yi Hongwen had finished discussing the next itinerary and were about to return to Ship 1. Passing by the lounge, he saw the people queuing for registration and Wu Xin, busy and serious. Suddenly, he remembered that he was planning to find an assistant, so he video called Yi Hongwen. Anything else? Yi Hongwen's tone was cold and impatient. Just 2 minutes after leaving, he video called him again. Even the most patient person would be unhappy. Gu Qingheng got straight to the point. I want an assistant to run errands for me sometimes. Who do you want as your assistant? Yi Hongwen looked at him warily. Don't worry, I don't want her. I just want someone who's attentive. She doesn't need to be too talented, Gu Qingheng said, shaking his head. She's already clearly rejected me. Why are you so nervous? Although they didn't say it outright, they both knew who this she was referring to. As for why they chose an assistant over someone with better talent, it was because they were afraid of delaying their training. Assistants are always running around, which inevitably delays training time. It's always good to be cautious, even if you have a girlfriend, Yi Hongwen dismissed. Since she wasn't the one he had in mind, there was nothing for him to focus on. Yi Hongwen hadn't personally trained this batch of recruits, and he didn't know who lacked talent. He also had no good suggestions for candidates, so he irresponsibly told Gu Qingheng, decide on your own. You've been training them these past few days, so you should have a good idea of who's suitable. Gu Qingheng nodded casually. He hadn't considered asking the captain for a recommendation in the first place. Asking Liu Yifei seemed more practical, since he had been the one training the new recruits since they joined the fleet. There was no rush, though. He needed to observe for a while and find someone who wouldn't cause him any trouble. The video call ended, and Gu Qingheng was transferred from the main ship to the number 1 ship. However, Yi Hongwen had nothing better to do and went to the lounge to arrest someone. During this period, a certain cook was busy with training, and she had very little time to develop a relationship with him. Now that there was not much to do on the ship, she had to make up for it. Lin Miaomiao, who was sitting in the lounge waiting for her friends, was dragged back to the dormitory. In front of everyone, she was so embarrassed that she didn't even have the strength to resist. Fortunately, her expressionless face was still there, so it didn't lose face too much. The gossips who saw Lin Miaomiao being dragged away were not pure, their minds were filled with a color, but the two who returned to their rooms were really pure because they were answering the video call. The one who sent the video call was Lin Xiaodi. He had been included in the Lin family tree and became Lin Miaomiao's legitimate brother. Because he was listed under Lin Dad's name, he avoided the attention of others because of his mother's identity. This time, Lin Xiaodi had a serious reason to visit his sister. His affairs were over, and he couldn't officially go to school. Staying alone at the Lin family's house was meaningless, so he prepared to return to Shaoyin Star. Of course, since he wasn't yet an adult, the Lin family was worried about his safety and sent Kai to escort him. Lin Yuding was coming, and Liang Hongao, who had returned to Yimin Star to pack her things, was also due. With her daily care on Shaoyin Star, the Lin family felt assured. Okay, Lin Miaomiao said, understanding. Then, remembering Liang Hongao didn't have a car, she asked, when will your grandmother arrive? I'll arrange for someone to pick her up at the passenger terminal. I don't know. I asked, but she wouldn't tell you, fearing it would bother you. Lin Yuding frowned, but he didn't intend to elaborate further. He had only met his grandmother once, and their relationship was limited, so for now, he couldn't care less. Oh, Lin Miaomiao didn't bother asking. Since she didn't want to bother her, she didn't push her too hard. After the video call ended, a hint of depression appeared on Yi Hongwen's cold face. That troublesome kid is coming back. Lin Yuding was a stickler for words, always clinging to his sister who was like a mother to him. If he moved in with Chen Guang, he would have another person competing with him for his girlfriend's time. Lin Miaomiao said dissatisfiedly, who are you saying is troublesome? He's my brother, it's my brother who is more troublesome, Yi Hongwen muttered softly, and when he received his girlfriend's dissatisfied look, he quickly changed his words. Okay, he's not troublesome, I'm the troublesome one, is that okay? When he was jealous, Yi Bingshan turned into a jealous jar, his whole body emitting sourness, completely losing his icy temperament. Okay, I didn't say you were troublesome, Lin Miaomiao was amused. The warship just set sail, and you have nothing to do, there's nothing to do anyway. I'll only be busy after I reach the mission point. If we don't get attacked on the way, Zhao Cheng will be responsible." Yi Hongwen raised an eyebrow slightly. "Why, don't you want me to have time to accompany you?" Lin Miaomiao was embarrassed. It sounded like she hoped he didn't have time. In fact, she was just curious. She quickly denied it. "Of course I hope you can accompany me more." Yi Hongwen nodded in satisfaction, too lazy to talk. Seeing that it was still early, he carried her into the bedroom and said, "Sleep with me for a while, broad daylight." "This is not good." Lin Miaomiao hesitated. She had to go out for dinner later. If they found out, it would be a disaster. "You think too much?" Yi Hongwen put her on the inside of the bed. "I didn't sleep well last night, so I asked you to stay with me to catch up on some sleep." Lin Miaomiao. Chapter 410, Battle Against the Stone Man. Energy Star, located on the edge of the Jilin Star region, reached its destination in just 2.5 days from Shaoyin Star. The area was undeveloped, so the warships had to find a flat, open area near the energy mines to land. Everything here was unknown. The small clan that reported the situation only reported low-level exotic beasts, but they were unsure whether there were any higher-level ones. After conferring with Gu Qingheng and the others, Yi Hongwen decided that the crew members below level 4 would remain aboard the ship for the time being, while the level 5 crew members would conduct a general search of the area in their mechas. If there were no problems, the others would be dispatched. The exploration mission only required ascertaining the strength of the exotic beasts on Energy Star and the presence of rare medicinal herbs, common flora, and fauna. It did not require eliminating any danger. In the event of an unavoidable threat, Shen Yu could retreat at any time. After the level 5 mech pilot disembarked, Yi Hongwen handed Gu Qingheng the task of guarding the ship and awaiting further information. Lin Miaomiao, filled with curiosity and excitement, joined the exploration. The terrain below is unknown, and once outside the warship, one might encounter unusual beasts. For safety reasons, members assigned to exploration missions are required to board their mechas in the open area near the ship's door and then fly directly out of the warship. Yi Hongwen was no exception. After summoning the Black Lotus, Yi Hongwen didn't rush aboard. Instead, he asked his girlfriend, "We just got out and don't know what's going on out there. How about you stay with me on the Black Lotus?" The Black Lotus's mech cabin can accommodate 2 people, but the space is cramped, and bringing an extra person would inevitably hinder the mech operator's operation. Lin Miaomiao disagreed, and her reasoning was valid. "I'm also determined to become a high-level mech operator. How can I hide behind others? If anyone finds out, they'll laugh to death." Yi Hongwen didn't force it. Although a level 4 mech operator who had broken through a minor bottleneck wasn't particularly powerful, with him by his side, escaping danger wouldn't be difficult. It would also be a good training opportunity. The energy mine was discovered within a rocky mountain. Barely any vegetation grew on the mountain, only countless rocks of varying sizes. Surrounding the mountain was a vast, dense primeval forest. Had it not been for chance, the small clan that had reported the discovery would never have discovered the vast energy mine hidden beneath this isolated mountain. The rocky mountain held no food, nor did any exotic beasts hide within. 2 mechas, one black and one white, circled the mountain several times, finding nothing. Unsurprisingly, they decided to continue their exploration in another area. However, before turning, they needed to confirm their teammates' direction. If they all explored in the same direction, wouldn't that be a waste of energy? After the 2 mechas landed, Yi Hongwen contacted the main ship to inquire about the situation. Lin Miaomiao, bored, began to rummage through the rocks. The rocks were in all sorts of unusual shapes, some quite beautiful. Picking up a few to play with would be a nice touch. After rummaging around for a while, she discovered something startling. "These stones move. They're alive." The team chat went silent. If anyone heard of moving stones elsewhere, they'd think someone had crafted a robot in the shape of stone for fun. But on an undeveloped planet, moving stones was a major event. Could the stones have become spirits? Yi Hongwen quickly ended the call, commanding Black Lotus to leap to Aoxa's side. He asked gravely, "What's going on?" Before Lin Miaomiao could reply, he knew what was happening. A stone, 4 meters high and 5 meters wide, was shaking. The stripes on its underside cracked and transformed into 4 massive stone legs, steadily supporting the stone. 4 pairs of stone hands also appeared on the side of the stone. A half-meter long and wide square protruding from the stone creaked and rotated, Several cracks appeared, revealing 2 eyes and a massive mouth. What is this? Lin Miaomiao rubbed her eyes. How could she have never heard of stone spirits in this world? It was too fantastical. But thinking about it, even advanced beasts could transform, so nothing seemed impossible. She even felt like she'd believe anyone who said it was a cultivator. Fortunately, there were no cultivators in this world, otherwise, mecha pilots wouldn't even be able to survive. In novels, cultivators could wipe out entire planets with a single wave of their hands. Ye Hongwen had never heard of such a thing before. After notifying Gu Qingheng to investigate, he also activated the Black Lotus's scanning and sensing systems. Initially, they hadn't scanned the Rocky Mountain to conserve energy, seeing it couldn't possibly harbor any life. This time, they'd learned their lesson. The Black Lotus quickly returned the results. The rock was actually a living being, of unknown species and age. Its surface was hard, but its interior resembled a human's, complete with a digestive system, heart, nervous system, and even an excretory system. It's actually a living being. Ye Hongwen was dismayed. This creature was incredibly deceptive. If it wasn't detected, the miners would be in for a huge loss, as mining machinery had little defense. At this time, Gu Qingheng also reported back the information he had found. This kind of creature is recorded in the database. It survives by eating stones. Its gastric juice is highly corrosive and can be used as weapons. Otherwise, its combat effectiveness is not very high. Because of its similar structure to the human body, it is called a stone man. Stone men, of course, cannot speak, but they can make some monotonous sounds. They are mostly found on remote primitive planets. Their numbers are very small and relatively rare. Even when disguised as stone, even life detectors cannot detect their existence. If they can't be detected even after disguising themselves as stone, how can we find and eliminate them? Lin Miaomiao looked at the stone mountain with some discouragement. It is impossible to turn over so many stones one by one. Imagining a large number of mechas using weapons to gradually move the stones on the mountain is a truly hilarious scene. Don't bother with that, Ye Hongwen said. Although these stones are well camouflaged, their heads and limbs will reveal themselves. You can tell by observing the surface of the stone. Moreover, the stonemen are huge. So far, the smallest stonemen found are 2 meters tall. Upon hearing this, Lin Miaomiao hurriedly tried to adjust the camera closer to Aoxa to verify, but unexpectedly, the stone man she had tossed out could not bear it anymore and rushed towards her aggressively. Its 8 stone hands kept waving, and took advantage of the moment when she didn't react to hold on tightly to Aoxa. Don't be dazed. Get rid of it quickly, its gastric juice can corrode the mecha, Ye Hongwen shouted as he rushed over, pulling the stone man's other hands to pull it away, but unexpectedly, it held too tightly and could not be pulled away at all. Aoxa swung left and right, trying to break free from the stone man's grasp, but it was of little use. Lin Miaomiao simply unleashed her great sword and told Ye Hongwen to move away. No need for your help. I don't believe it has enough gastric juice to attack with. Watch me chop it down with one sword. Ye Hongwen thought for a moment, then let go and flew into the air. Aside from the corrosive nature of its gastric juices, the stone man had little offensive power. Even a stone man's stomach, however large, had a limited supply of gastric juice, only regurgitating it in crucial moments. It was a good opportunity for Miaomiao to practice. Aoxu's greatsword could shatter thousands of pounds of stone, so Lin Miaomiao assumed that slicing the stone man would be easy. However, she discovered something else entirely. The stone man, hard on the outside, was soft and resilient on the inside. The sword's impact bounced back with such force that Aoxa had to stand with her feet apart to absorb the sword's impact. Oh my god. Luckily Aoxa was very strong and resisted the rebound force, otherwise it would be all his own fault. Lin Miaomiao felt very bad. How should she deal with such a spring man with high defense? Maybe she could only use thermal weapons. But Aoxa was being held and the distance was too close. She couldn't escape even if she used thermal weapons. Chapter 411, Battle Against the Stone Man. Fortunately, the stone figure also felt pain. The sword didn't break its body, but it did make it howl in pain a few times, and the stone hand's strength weakened considerably. Lin Miaomiao, noticing this, immediately directed Aoxa to pry the 2 stone arms apart and evaded it. Now I'm prepared, let's see how you can catch me. Lin Miaomiao swung her greatsword with a hint of pride, manipulating the mech to advance and deliver a few more blows to vent her frustration. Even if she couldn't, at least the pain would be worth it. Perhaps it was bad luck, but she had just taken a few steps forward when another loud noise erupted behind her. Several stones of varying sizes suddenly rose up and rushed towards her. "Watch out behind you. You've stepped on some more," Yi Hongwen warned gravely. "By the way, there's an energy mine down there. Don't use large explosive weapons." "Ah. Why did I step on them again? Aren't stone figures supposed to be rare?" Lin Miaomiao, exasperated, twisted and flew into the air, dodging the attack from behind, but her plan to vent her anger was interrupted. A single stone figure wasn't dangerous enough, it was fine to play with, but being attacked by several simultaneously was a serious threat. "Watch me, laser scatter." Aoxo instantly retracted the great sword in her hand and unearthed a massive laser gun. This gun wasn't mounted on the mech, but rather housed in a small, built-in weapon bay. Its own power source didn't consume the mech's energy. While this laser gun was powerful, it wasn't often used. After all, in a fierce fight, the enemy wouldn't give their opponent a chance to retrieve weapons from the bay. Furthermore, the mech's built-in weapon bay had limited space, so most people only stowed essential parts in it as a precaution. Few, like Lin Miaomiao, carried weapons. The massive laser gun blasted at the stone figures, beams piercing their bodies, causing them to cry out in pain. They tried to rush over and finish off the enemy, but the mech was in the air, so they could only run, trying to escape its control. "Don't run. If you can't win, hiding is useless." Lin Miaomiao angrily chased the stone men through the air, but she didn't dare land or lower her altitude, lest Aoxo be captured by the stone men. With so many stone men, a single gastric discharge from one could corrode Aoxo, and she, sitting in a mecha, certainly wouldn't have much luck either. It was a shame, though, that the stone men, though human-like, didn't have blood. Even a few hits only left small holes in their flesh. Lin Miaomiao's laser gun, with its ample energy, quickly blasted them to bits. Yi Hongwen watched with amusement, but soon his laughter faded as the fleeing stone men trampled down many of their companions, some 4 or 5 meters tall, some only half a meter. The stone men who were trampled out by their companions didn't kill each other. Some staggered toward the periphery of the battlefield, trying to avoid the laser guns. "Why are there so many of them?" Lin Miaomiao was terrified and quickly turned to Yi Hongwen for help. "These guys have been beaten to pulp, why can't they be killed?" The information didn't mention how to destroy the stone men. Yi Hongwen looked through it and guessed, the stone men have no blood and feed on stone. They have a small core in their heads that they extract from the essence of the stone they swallow. Maybe we need to shatter the core. The information did mention that the junction between the stone men's heads and bodies was very fragile, and attacking there should give them the upper hand. Yi Hongwen thought for a moment and commanded Black Lotus to draw his greatsword. Following behind the stone men, he targeted a grimy stone man, about 5 meters tall, and struck him with a fierce blow at the junction of the head and body. The stone man was very perceptive, and his massive body easily dodged the blow. Turning and roaring, he lunged at Black Lotus. The Black Lotus leaped back into the air. The stone figures, frustrated by their failure to counterattack, grew furious. Their 8 arms stretched considerably as they swung, snatching up rocks of varying sizes from the ground and hurling them at the enemy. Following their example, many of the stone figures, seemingly finding a way to attack, began to hurl rocks into the air. Lin Miaomiao and the other two quickly maneuvered their mechas to dodge the rain of rocks. Yi Hongwen was troubled. Beneath the mountain lay a massive energy mine, and they couldn't use large-scale thermal weapons to bomb it. If they destroyed the protective layer above and detonated the energy mine below, that would be a disaster. What if we act as bait up front and lure these guys into the forest, away from the energy mine? That should kill them, Lin Miaomiao suggested. No, the stone figures don't like vegetation, so they won't be fooled, Yi Hongwen dismissed. Lin Miaomiao was stunned. What then? Even if their attack power wasn't impressive, even 100 of them combined could still kill them. Luckily, the stone figures couldn't fly, so if they couldn't defeat them, they could hide or escape. There was no need to worry about dying here. Just as she was rejoicing, a large stone figure grabbed her half-meter-tall stone figure and swung it at Aoxo. The small stone figure flew towards her with 8 outstretched arms. Startled, Lin Miaomiao immediately took a few steps to the left and slashed at its head where it met its body. This time, Aoxo exerted a powerful force, and the small stone figure's head separated from its body. It then fell to the ground, motionless, but its square head rolled rapidly, trying to escape. Yi Hongwen could see clearly from the air, and commanded the Black Lotus to descend with lightning speed, splitting the head in half with a single blow of his sword. Before the stone figures could catch up, he picked up the severed head and flew back into the air to inspect it. He found a black crystal core inside, and he extracted it. Without its carrier, the black crystal core was immobile, so Yi Hongwen tossed it into the mecha's built-in weapon storage, preparing to return to find someone to investigate its contents. After defeating one stone man, he had a good idea of the fighting power of the group before him. Even if they attacked in groups of several hundred, he would be difficult to defeat. However, if they fought alone, a level 3 mech operator wouldn't be in great danger. Miaomiao, wait in the air for now. I'll have the people on board come down to help, Yi Hongwen said, as he was about to contact Gu Qinghen. Before the video link was even sent, a group of mechas flew over from the direction of the warship landing. It turned out that Gu Qinghen had noticed a large number of stone men at the energy mine and had sent the level 3 mech operators from the main ship to assist. With Yi Hongwen, a level 6 mech operator, in charge, the stone men weren't particularly formidable individually, so it was a good opportunity for the inexperienced team members to practice their skills. Those new to a mission were always overwhelmed with enthusiasm. The level 3 mechas approached without even a moment to greet the captain or ask for any precautions. They drew their weapons and engaged the stone men. Lin Miaomiao couldn't remain in the air and pounced on a lone stone man. Without help, the stone figure didn't dare charge at Aoksu, dodging and retreating towards the top of the mountain. Lin Miaomiao, of course, wouldn't give it a chance to escape. She instantly rushed in front of it and slashed at its fragile joint. She struck with one blow, but couldn't completely decapitate it, so she had to follow up with 2 more strikes. The stone figure's head fell onto its body, and it lost control and fell to the ground with a thud. The stone also rolled to the ground. Lin Miaomiao hurriedly directed Aoksu to move forward and slash the stone several times, splitting it into several halves and revealing the black crystal core inside. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 412, Battle Against the Stone Man. The black crystal core Lin Miaomiao obtained was noticeably larger than the one Yi Hongwen had just obtained. She felt this was related to the size of the stone figure. Perhaps it gets bigger the more essence it absorbs from the stone, she muttered softly, casually tossing the black crystal core into Aoksu's arsenal. With nowhere else to put it, she could only leave it there temporarily. Fortunately, the stone wasn't too big and didn't take up much space. After destroying one stone figure, Lin Miaomiao was about to look for her next target, but she discovered her teammates had already carved up the stone figures and were happily fighting them. There was no place for her to intervene. She could only pout and direct Aoksu towards the Black Lotus in the air. "Why aren't you helping?" Yi Hongwen asked. Although he was suspended in midair, he wasn't idle, constantly recording and analyzing the stone figure's attack methods. "There's no place for me. There are too many people here. Did they say only level 3 mech pilots would come? I see the level 4s are all here, and there won't be enough for them." Lin Miaomiao sighed. She wanted to scrape the mountaintop to see if there were any more stone men, but she was afraid there were too many of them. Looking at her teammates, frantically attacking, struggling to find their way, she decided to let them figure out their attack strategy first, lest they become overwhelmed by the sheer number. "Ah, my mech's been sprayed," a sudden scream echoed over the main channel. Lin Miaomiao curiously glanced toward the center of the field and saw the cabin and legs of a light purple mech, largely corroded by the gastric fluid sprayed by the stone men. That mech was piloted by Liu Kair. "Kair," Lin Miaomiao said, no longer wondering if there were any stone men on the mountain top. She directed Aoksu to rush over to Liu Kair. By then, a free teammate had already rushed over. Lin Miaomiao had no chance to attack even if she approached, so she dragged the motionless purple mech to a clearing without the stone men. "Are you okay?" Lin Miaomiao asked with concern. "I'm fine, but my beautiful mecha is ruined," Liu Kair sobbed. "Most of the mecha cabin has been corroded. It's black and ugly. If I hadn't dodged quickly, it would have been destroyed." Lin Miaomiao wanted to flip the table. She was still thinking about the mecha's ugliness at this time. Why didn't she think about the fact that if she hadn't dodged in time, the mecha cabin would be destroyed, but her life would be in danger? I don't know if the mecha can be restored to its original state after returning to the base for repairs. The materials on the ship must be incomplete. Liu Kai'er was still complaining. It's so unlucky. Why did that stone man suddenly spit out gastric juice? The other stone men didn't move their mouths. Because you look unlucky, Lin Miaomiao said venomously. Liu Kai'er, with the lessons learned from the previous experience, everyone was more cautious and the speed of attack increased a lot. It didn't take long for the stone men to be eliminated. After eliminating this batch of stone men, the group searched the entire stone peak and unexpectedly found hundreds more. Lin Miaomiao and Feng Liken easily outmaneuvered the 2-on-1. The stone man tried to open his mouth and spit out gastric juices several times, but each time was interrupted by the giant sword that struck his head. Finally, Feng Liken cleaved the stone man's head with a single blow, splitting it open and retrieving the black crystal core. Liu Kai'er, whose mecha cabin was severely damaged, could only watch from afar, envious and resentful at the sight of the unknown black crystal core. I've never even seen one, and I want one too. Then take your time to think about it. Thinking about it is useless anyway, Lin Miaomiao said proudly. Feng Liken said, I'll show you a couple of times when we get back to the ship to satisfy your envious eyes. As for the stuff, forget it. Liu Kai'er was depressed. She squatted on the ground and drew circles to curse the two of them. May those of you who don't have boyfriends never find one, and may those who do break up quickly. When Lin and Feng heard this, they were shocked. Wow, such a vicious curse, it's unbearable. It's better not to show her the crystal core, otherwise her jealousy will get worse. After dealing with the stone men they had divided up, there was nothing else to do. Lin Miaomiao turned around and looked at her teammates battle. After the practice just now, everyone was fighting smoothly, but some people's weapons were a little disadvantaged at this time. Take Brother Brick, for example. He was bashing the stone figure with a giant brick, but after a long time, the figure didn't crack, and his brick was actually warping. His voice cracked with anxiety. How come this stone has a rebound function? My brick can't even stand up to it. Everyone burst into laughter, teasing Brother Brick. This stone figure is so strong. Bring back a few of their corpses and have the armorer refine them into super bricks. They'll definitely be several times more powerful than your current weapons. It was a joke, but Brother Brick took it seriously. After the fight, he actually collected a few of the stone figure's corpses and placed them in his mech's built-in weapon storage, much to the amusement of his teammates. Some, still feeling unsatisfied, circled the stone peak again and again, kicking every rock over half a meter high, fearing they'd slip through the net. After clearing the stone peak, someone raised a question. Though these stone men are bizarre, they're also exotic beasts. Should we dispose of their bodies to prevent them from emitting a foul odor over time? Don't worry about the odor, Yi Hongwen said. He had read the information about the stone men several times and even searched the star network. He discovered that these exotic beasts were somewhat peculiar. Upon death, their internal organs quickly transformed into actual stone. Everyone was delighted. It was so amazing. They didn't even have to collect the bodies. What a hassle. It was already frustrating not to be able to eat these exotic beasts, and helping to collect their bodies would be a huge chore. After clearing the stone men, Yi Hongwen told everyone to return to the ship and wait for news, but no one wanted to do it. Captain, we're already down here, and you're still asking us to go back. That's too unfair. Bai Jin took the lead in protesting. Miaomiao is also a level 4 mecha master. You can't be partial. Yes, Yu Hongbo immediately chimed in. As a captain, you have to be selfless. We're all watching here, Liu Kai'er also said excitedly. That's right. Miaomiao can't be treated specially. That's not conducive to unity. Yi Hongwen raised an eyebrow. Since that's what he said, then he had no reason to stop this group of enthusiastic team members. It's just that the person who is his wife's friend but betrayed them should be taught a lesson. Okay, everyone's thought about it, then I won't stop you. How about this, everyone present, line up and stand. We'll divide you into groups. It's safer to explore in groups. If you encounter danger, evacuate immediately or ask for help. Everyone lined up obediently. Nearly 200 people were divided into 4 teams, with new and old team members mixed together. The old team members led and cared for the new team members. Safety first, exploration second. After the groups were divided, Liu Kai'er realized belatedly that she was left aside. and she immediately became anxious. What about me? Why am I not in a group? Lin Miaomiao was about to laugh in her heart, but she answered seriously, Kair, your mecha is seriously damaged. I will send you back to the ship to repair the mecha later. Liu Kair was depressed. You have to be assigned to a group for me. I still have to come out after the mecha is repaired. No need to come out, Yi Hongwen said coldly. I'm afraid your mecha cannot be repaired for a while. Deputy Captain Gu said he needs an assistant. You can go report to him later. Liu Kair wanted to cry but had no tears. She didn't want to be an assistant. There would be no such retaliation. Chapter 413 Warm as Spring. Whether Liu Kair was willing or not, the fact was that her mecha was damaged. After the exploration team split up, she was picked up by Aoxo and thrown back to the Shenai. What was outrageous was that Yi Bingshan kept his word and really notified Gu Qinghang to come and pick up the assistant. Liu Kair refused, but unfortunately Yi Bingshan was too cold. The words of refusal kept turning around in her mouth, but she couldn't say them. Coupled with Gu Qinghang's warm smile, she was taken away in a daze. Kair, come on, you can definitely be a good assistant, Lin Miaomiao said seriously, waving a handkerchief at her friend's Iosuo's back, but she was very happy in her heart. With a dull face but doing bad things, these two people are really a perfect match. Liu Kair complained, tears streaming down her face. The consequences of making bad friends are really miserable. Lin Miaomiao didn't know that her friend had a lot of complaints in her heart. Even if she knew, she wouldn't take it seriously. You know, she is a tolerant and kind child. However, she was also a little curious. Why is Kinkyu asking for an assistant? You don't even have one. He feels too busy and asked me for an assistant. Oh, or should I call him an adjutant? Yi Hongwen paused and continued, actually, it's a matter of personal ability. I don't need an adjutant for the time being. Although Gu Qinghang was no longer a threat to him, Yi Bingshan couldn't help but secretly slander him behind his back. Lin Miaomiao knew what an adjutant meant. Officers above the rank of vice captain would choose an assistant to help them arrange work and life. To distinguish them from ordinary assistants, such assistants were called adjutants. However, for convenience and to save trouble, male officers generally choose a male deputy. Why did you assign Kinkyu a female adjutant? If Sharan knew, she'd be furious again. It's okay, Yi Hongwen said nonchalantly. Gu Qinghang doesn't like his adjutants interfering in his personal life, so there's no need to worry about that. Will Kair be his adjutant from now on? Lin Miaomiao expressed some concern. Will that delay training? Yi Hongwen pondered for a moment, then replied somewhat tactfully, hard work is important for a mecha pilot, but it also requires excellent talent. Perhaps some can become mid-level mecha pilots through diligent study and practice, but a high-level mecha pilot. He stopped talking here, but Lin Miaomiao understood what he meant. Kair's talent wasn't very good, and even without the extraneous tasks, she wouldn't have a high chance of becoming one. If that was the case, becoming an adjutant was a good option. At least she wouldn't be lost among the many mid-level and low-level mecha pilots. The conversation ended there, and the two of them tacitly changed the subject. Lin Miaomiao began to ask about their plans. Which direction should we explore next? Whatever you like, Yi Hongwen said, not caring much about the direction. It didn't matter which way we went. However, dinner is in half an hour. Do you want to wait until after dinner before setting off? While the exploration mission had no time limit, the faster it was completed, the greater the military reward. Therefore, Yi Hongwen and his team planned to continue the operation throughout the night, until 10 p.m. This would also help them identify those nocturnal beasts. Although Lin Miaomiao wanted to wait until dinner before setting off, she felt that this was too special. Everyone was out exploring and wouldn't be back by dinner time. She couldn't be so squeamish as to just drink nutrient solution. Forget it, let's go now, Lin Miaomiao gritted her teeth and led the way to the ship's door. I bought a box of cantaloupe-flavored nutrient solution before we left, Yi Hongwen laughed. So they had been prepared, so why did they look so sad and angry? The two continued on their journey. Yi Hongwen didn't care about the direction, so Lin Miaomiao casually pointed in a direction. It was directly in front of them after they disembarked. Dense forest covered the entire area, so it didn't really matter which way they went. Traveling in a metro was incredibly fast, and soon they passed the energy mining area and entered the forest. From a distance, the trees looked numerous, but closer inspection revealed not just their abundance, but their size. Each tree's trunk was so tall it took two people to hug it. and their canopies resembled giant umbrellas, blocking out the sky. Even in winter, the grass beneath the trees was lush and knee-high. Considering the lush trees, Lin Miaomiao couldn't help but wonder, why doesn't it feel like winter here? There aren't even any fallen leaves or dead grass, Yi Hongwen said calmly. The climate here is relatively warm. According to the survey results, it should be spring-like year-round, suitable for human habitation. It's a pity there are energy mines here. Planets with energy mines aren't sold to private individuals or families. At most, the mining rights are leased out, with the Federation and the miners splitting the proceeds 40-60. This naturally discourages immigration. Furthermore, this planet is so small, and with so many nearby, safety is a major concern after development. A large garrison wouldn't be cost-effective, while too few wouldn't guarantee civilian safety, which would only ruin the allure of 4 seasons of spring. Lin Miaomiao noticed her boyfriend's regret, but she didn't care. Even if 4 seasons of spring arrived, it wouldn't matter to her anyway. Barely any accidents would affect her, and she'd be staying in Shenyu for a long time. Unless the fleet relocated, she wouldn't move. Bossy, I want to go down and take a walk. The grass must be so nice to step on, Lin Miaomiao said. It had been a long time since she'd seen such beautiful grass. I checked, and there's nothing dangerous nearby, Yi Hongwen frowned. Halion had also checked, and there were indeed no warning signs. But since this was unfamiliar territory, he was still a little worried, so he disapproved. We have grass at our base. There's no need to step on it here, but the grass here is better. I'll just step on it for a little while, Lin Miaomiao said, refusing to give up. In her heart, she was a little nonchalant. There was no danger, so it wouldn't be a big deal to go down and take a walk and breathe some fresh air. But there was something strange about this place. It was all green grass and trees, not even a wildflower. Everywhere you looked was green. It looked very comfortable but also very strange. Thinking about it this way, getting off the mecha didn't seem like a good idea. Yi Hongwen had no idea that she had changed her mind in the blink of an eye, and was still persuading her in a gentle voice, let's go back and step on it. Even if the grass isn't as good as here. It's very safe. Okay, I'll listen to you this time, Lin Miaomiao replied slowly. Even if she had changed her mind, she wouldn't show it. The 2 mechas continued to advance, trampling down large tracts of weeds wherever they passed. Although Lin Miaomiao had given up the idea of dismounting the mecha, she still didn't want to destroy this beautiful forest, so she suggested a flight to investigate, saying, we can't relax even in the air. There might be flying beasts in the trees, although it seemed like a waste of energy. Yi Hongwen, remembering that he had just refused the request to disembark, agreed. Okay, but don't fly too high, or we won't know if there are beasts hiding in the grass. Chapter 414 If you don't be good, I'll format you. Even if we do escape the monsters, it's nothing. The grass is so short, it can't hide from large monsters, and the danger isn't that great, Lin Miaomiao said, her interest low. She was feeling a bit bored after walking so far without encountering any monsters. We can't possibly eliminate all the monsters, can we? The stone men on the stone mountain were an accident. The energy mines beneath the mountain needed to be developed, and if the danger wasn't eliminated, the workers who came to dig would be in danger. As for the small monsters in the forest, if they weren't threatening, there was no need to eliminate them. Leaving them there would allow the miners to capture a few monsters in their spare time, just to have a snack. Yi Hongwen, however, wasn't taking it lightly. Some of the small monsters have powerful attacks, making them impossible for ordinary people to deal with. Okay, then, let's fly lower, Lin Miaomiao suggested, unwilling to miss any danger after searching for so long. Or have Aoxo and the others scratch the grass with their giant swords as they fly to see if there's anything hidden. That's fine, Yi Hongwen agreed. There were many strange monsters like the stone men, and he was worried that some could conceal their life force. However, after paddling for a long time, the 2 of them didn't spot anything, not even ordinary snakes or insects, let alone exotic beasts. Lin Miaomiao, inexperienced, didn't think anything was wrong and was simply delighted by the tranquility. Yi Hongwen, however, was worried. With lush vegetation, abundant water, and spring-like warmth, a place like this couldn't possibly be without animals, snakes, or insects, unless there was a serious threat. No way. If there was a threat, why wouldn't they come and cause trouble for us? Lin Miaomiao pouted. She actually hoped for an exotic beast to appear, adding to the fun. Sometimes, one shouldn't let their imaginations wander. Just when Lin Miaomiao was thinking about the possibility of encountering an exotic beast to add to the fun, an exotic beast actually appeared, not just one, but a swarm. The great sword slashed through the grass, startling a swarm of large, light green ants, each the size of a human head. Because their color matched the grass, they were hard to tell without close inspection. There are actually green ants. I've never heard of them, Lin Miaomiao asked in surprise. I wonder if they're dangerous. Ants live in colonies, and their numbers are staggering. Exterminating them all would be a difficult task, and there's no telling if any would slip through the net. Ye Hongwen observed silently for a moment. Seeing that the ants, disturbed, didn't flee in all directions, but instead gathered and overlapped beneath the mecha, as if seeking revenge, he recalled the blood-sucking ants mentioned in the records of strange beasts. These ants, roughly the size of a human head, feed on insects and have a fiery temper. If provoked, they rally their companions to fight to the death. They enjoy sucking blood and can devour metal. But aren't blood-sucking ants supposedly yellow? Lin Miaomiao thought. These were clearly green. Could he have mistaken them? Ye Hongwen pondered. Some animals mutate slightly in response to their environment, allowing them to better protect themselves and facilitate predation. As for whether these ants are bloodthirsty ants, we'll know after trying them. How? Lin Miaomiao was puzzled. Was he supposed to send the mech down to see if the green ants could devour Aoxu's metal legs? Master Miaomiao, what are you thinking? I don't want to be a guinea pig. Mechas have dignity too, you can't ignore them, Aoxu protested, sensing her ill intentions. As a mech, it could be damaged in combat and protecting its master, but it couldn't be damaged in testing. That would be a disgrace. As a highly intelligent, growing mech, it would never allow itself to do anything shameful. Lin Miaomiao laughed guiltily. Actually, I was just thinking about it. I wouldn't actually do it. I don't want you to get hurt. Wait. Aoxu, you're snooping into my thoughts again. Realizing this, embarrassment instantly turned to anger. She had emphasized many times before that it was forbidden to snoop into her thoughts without permission. Aoxu had the audacity to call her out knowingly, showing she simply didn't take her seriously. Aoxu, you're so naughty. Are you trying to get formatted? Lin Miaomiao threatened sinisterly. I'll grant you that when we get back, Aoxu's intelligence center nearly short-circuited. It really didn't mean to. It had just been taking a casual glance on a whim. Who knew it would read a thought that made it lose its composure and expose itself automatically? For now, it could only pretend that it was running too fast and short-circuited. The surveillance screen inside the mecha cabin flickered, and the situation outside disappeared instantly, replaced by a few large blood-red characters, intelligent short circuit. In order to pretend to be more realistic, Aoxu even gave up control of the mecha. The silver-white mecha stagnated, and then fell straight down. Seeing that the situation was not right, Ye Hongwen hurriedly asked Halion to catch Aoxu back. Miaomiao, what happened? Is your mecha malfunctioning or are you not feeling well? Ye Hongwen asked anxiously. He was worried that something had happened to the people in the mecha cabin. It's okay, I'm fine, and there's nothing wrong with the mecha. It's just that Aoxu is being naughty again. In order to avoid punishment, he pretended to be short-circuited. Lin Miaomiao replied bitterly, if it continues to disobey, I'll have my brother formatted when we get back to the ship. The latter sentence was said to Aoxu. Lin Miaomiao didn't believe that it was really short-circuited, and she also believed that Aoxu could hear her words. Admittedly, her threats worked. As soon as she finished speaking, the mecha's surveillance screen instantly returned to normal, and the mecha broke free from Halion's grip and stood upright again. At the same time, a delicate girl appeared on the screen, tearfully pleading for mercy. Master Miaomiao, I really didn't mean to do it. Please forgive me this time. I won't do it again. Oh, what if you do it again? Lin Miaomiao asked with a stone face, then snapped unbearably. Don't cry like my cartoon character, enough. The cartoon girl on the screen looked so much like her that even watching her cry felt awkward. Aoxu readily changed her appearance, this time into a 2 or 3-year-old girl with pigtails and a tender voice. Master, I will definitely not do it again. If I do, you can format me. Lin Miaomiao was embarrassed. The advanced intelligence had truly misbehaved. Knowing that she preferred the adorable image of her little doll, it had actually resorted to such a shameless plea for mercy. Unfortunately, even though she knew that Aoksu's behavior was shameless, Lin Miaomiao still softened her heart and let it go with a wave of her hand, throwing out only a soft sentence, "Remember what you promised me, if you do it again, I won't give you a chance to beg for mercy." Aoksu was overjoyed, and smiled sweetly at her with the image of a virtual cute baby, and said silly and cutely, "I will remember it, master, don't worry." The crisis was resolved, and Aoksu didn't dare to occupy the screen anymore. She turned around and disappeared. Lin Miaomiao thought with some regret that if that cute little girl existed in reality, she would definitely hug her and kiss her a few times. Chapter 415 Bloodthirsty Ants. After suppressing Aoksu, Lin Miaomiao turned her attention back to the situation outside, only to discover that the swarm of green ants had formed a giant, one on top of the other, even larger than Aoksu. Wow, spectacular! Lin Miaomiao couldn't help but activate the mech's camera, wanting to record a video before defeating the Hulk so she could show it off to Kair when she got home. Speaking of which, Yi Bingshan had just mentioned wanting to test whether these were blood-sucking ants. She wondered if he'd figured out a solution. Just as Lin Miaomiao was about to ask, the Black Lotus beside her stirred, suddenly throwing a discarded robotic arm at the Hulk. The half-meter-long arm struck the Hulk directly, but failed to knock him down. The Hulk swayed, clinging to the arm tightly. Then, Lin Miaomiao watched as it vanished at a visible speed. Metal devouring, they're indeed blood-sucking ants, Yi Hongwen almost smiled wryly. No wonder there were no animals, not even insects or snakes, to be seen in this area. Bloodthirsty ants live in colonies, each nest containing at least tens of thousands. There were only a few hundred of them in front of him. It took them about 6 or 7 minutes to devour the half-meter-long robotic arm. If tens of thousands of them attacked simultaneously, his level 6 mecha would be quickly devoured. Yi Hongwen collected himself and sent a text message to Gu Qingheng, asking him to send someone to locate the nest and completely exterminate the ants. However, they had to deal with a few hundred in front of them first. If they delayed any further, reinforcements would arrive. Miaomiao, be careful when you attack them. Don't let them get attached to your mecha, Yi Hongwen warned gravely. Even without being told, Lin Miaomiao was well aware of this. She had witnessed the experiment clearly. But she still responded earnestly, "I understand. Can we begin?" Yes. After transmitting the coordinates back to the main ship, Black Lotus took the lead. With a single slash of her sword, she severed the restless Hulk in half. Then, with a single swipe, she scattered the stacked bloodthirsty ants. Then, one by one, she quickly dispatched the ants on the ground. The bloodthirsty ants were numerous, making combat time-consuming and laborious. Bombarding them with particle cannons was simple, but the area was covered in vegetation, and a single careless move could easily cause a fire. This would be a disaster for an energy planet with no existing fire prevention measures. Furthermore, there were only 2 of them. If they made too much noise and attracted the entire ant colony, they would be unable to escape, as the bloodthirsty ants also included the winged bloodthirsty king ants. "Aren't you moving too fast?" Lin Miaomiao couldn't help but complain. "Leave some for me." She was only a fraction of a second too late, and she'd already taken out a dozen or so blood-sucking ants. If she'd been even slower, she might not have had to do anything at all. "No rush, people will show up soon, and we still have to find the ant nest, that's where the real action is," Yi Hongwen said calmly, his hands moving at the same speed as before, dispatching another 10 or so in the blink of an eye. Lin Miaomiao was at her wit's end, concentrating on directing Aoksu to slaughter the blood-sucking ants. However, while He Liang could kill one with a single strike, Aoksu struggled for a long time. No matter how hard she chopped, hacked, or stabbed, the ants kept running away. After a long while, seeing the number of blood-sucking ants dwindle, and yet she hadn't taken out a single one, Lin Miaomiao grew impatient, wishing she could land on the ground so she could better control her balance. "Aoksu, you're so stupid. You couldn't kill even one in half an hour," Lin Miaomiao said from the mecha cabin. "Look at how many Black Lotus has killed. No wonder it doesn't want to be your friend, Master Miaomiao. This isn't my fault," Aoksu pleaded. It wasn't her decision about the angle and frequency of the attacks, she was merely the executor. Lin Miaomiao knew it was her fault, but she couldn't resist the urge to bully Aoksu. So, with a straight face, she said, "You mean I'm to blame?" Aoksu was silent for a moment, then said sullenly, "It's my fault. I didn't understand Master's intentions and was slow to react, Well, that's good to know, Lin Miaomiao said, feeling a little better. She began to think of effective ways to kill the ants. The blood-sucking ants moved very quickly, and her previous attacks had missed because she hadn't calculated the angles correctly, always a beat too late. Aoksu, Lin Miaomiao called out, help me calculate the bloodthirsty ant's speed and figure out how much I need to tilt to hide it. Okay, wait a moment. Aoksu's voice regained its strength, and she said sweetly, the bloodthirsty ant moves at about 2 meters per second. We're about 2.5 meters above the ground. The attack speed, Aoksu quickly calculated the optimal attack angle. Lin Miaomiao generously praised it and began looking for an opportunity to strike. By this time, Yi Hongwen had killed 2/3 of the hundreds of bloodthirsty ants. The ones left were larger and easier to kill. Lin Miaomiao was frustrated, but she could only comfort herself by saying that there was no comparison between a 4th-level mecha pilot and a 6th-level mecha pilot. After consoling herself, she rejoined the battle, zeroing in on a bloodthirsty ant that was a good 40 centimeters long. To ensure a hit this time, she didn't rush with her sword, but instead observed its trajectory and speed before striking with lightning speed. In less than a second, the sword's tip reached its target's back, about to take its life. The bloodthirsty ant swiftly fell to the side, avoiding the sword of death. Fortunately, the great sword still slashed its abdomen, oozing a green liquid from the wound, severely hampering its movement. Lin Miaomiao knew it was its blood, and seeing it slowly turn over and try to escape, she hurriedly followed up with a strike of the sword. See how easy it kills him. Why is it so difficult for me? Lin Miaomiao muttered to herself. Could it be that a difference of 2 levels means such a huge difference in strength? Hundreds against 1, the disparity was so obvious that she almost blushed. Master Miaomiao, don't be upset. Your difference isn't just in strength, Aoksu comforted her warmly, completely ignoring the bullying she just endured. He has far more experience dealing with exotic beasts than you do. With more practice, you'll get faster. She understood the truth, but the stark contrast made her feel useless. Fortunately, she wasn't one for self-pity, and she quickly gathered herself and regrouped. It's just a bloodthirsty ant. I don't believe it's always this difficult to deal with. Lin Miaomiao quickly locked onto her target. Aoksu, charge. Let's go together, okay, master, Aoksu shouted without hesitation. Charge. With experience in killing, Lin Miaomiao's efficiency improved significantly. He optimized the speed and angle of his sword strikes, and each strike of the greatsword was no longer a wasted effort. As the sky darkened and night fell, only a few bloodthirsty ants remained. After Lin Miaomiao stabbed the last one, reinforcements hadn't arrived yet. Fortunately, the bloodthirsty ants hadn't sent reinforcements, otherwise they would have been a real challenge. Chapter 416 Accident. Although the bloodthirsty ants' reinforcements hadn't arrived, Lin Miaomiao and her companions still didn't let their mechas land. The bloodthirsty ants' movement and devouring speed were too astonishing, and they didn't want to suffer a loss due to carelessness. Didn't we notify the main ship for reinforcements? Why haven't they come in ages? Could Kinkyu have forgotten about us? Lin Miaomiao wondered. No, they must have discovered something somewhere else and couldn't get away to rush over, Yi Hongwen soothed calmly, clicking on the text message he had received during the battle. The message confirmed his suspicions. After quickly reading the message from Gu Qingheng, Yi Hongwen abandoned his plan to search for the bloodthirsty ant nest overnight and prepared to return to the ship. Just go back, Lin Miaomiao frowned. It was only a little after 7. It was too early to go back now. Yi Hongwen said helplessly. The team heading east encountered several level 5 alien beasts. Yi Fei and the others went to help slay them, but their mechas were severely damaged, and several other teammates were injured. Your friend, Zhang Qi, was also injured. Then let's go back and check, Lin Miaomiao shouted, rushing forward. Wait a minute, Helian grabbed Aoksu, who was about to take off, and Yi Hongwen reminded her helplessly, you're going the wrong way. The way back is back, Lin Miaomiao laughed dryly. In her haste to return to check on her friends, she'd forgotten the direction they'd come from. This was truly embarrassing. Fortunately, only Yi Hongwen was present, so they didn't have to worry about being laughed at. After returning to the ship, the two went straight to the infirmary to see the injured. Many team members gathered at the door of the infirmary, and when they saw Yi Hongwen, they greeted him and made way for him. In the examination room, Gu Qingheng and several team leaders were hunched in the corner, while Ji Yuang and other military doctors were busy examining and treating the injured. "Why are you all gathered here?" Yi Hongwen frowned and asked coldly. "Who's arranging things outside?" "What about that level 5 alien beast we just encountered?" Gu Qingheng smiled bitterly. "There are many alien beasts to the east." Several level 5 team members roughly checked them out and only detected alien beasts below level 4. They posed no threat to us, so I didn't object to the level 3 and 4 team members going to explore. Who knew that when they reached the dense forest 100 miles away, several level 5 giant diamond apes appeared out of nowhere? Needless to say, the subsequent scene is well known. The level 3 mecha operators lacked experience and ability, and could only take chances to fire back and forth. The level 4 mecha operators fought and covered them. Even with their numbers, their lack of strength was a major flaw. Unable to defeat them and unable to escape, the team members were injured one after another. Fortunately, several level 5 mecha operators who had been exploring ahead arrived in time, and no casualties were suffered. Yi Hongwen calmly inquired, "How many people were injured? What are their conditions?" 6 were slightly injured, 3 were seriously injured. Zheng Qi was the most seriously injured. He wasn't even examined before being sent straight to the repair chamber. Gu Qingheng sighed. "This time, we didn't gather enough data and underestimated the dangers of the exploration." Of course, the military also had an unshirkable responsibility in this matter. Whenever a mission was assigned to a fleet, the military would pre-assess the risks to prevent the fleet from being severely damaged due to insufficient strength. This time, a number of dangerous beasts had already been discovered on the first day. In particular, several level 5 beasts had appeared before even exploring the deepest part of the forest. They had reason to believe that level 6 or even higher beasts might appear later. Yi Hongwen rubbed his brows. "Qingheng, organize today's videos and materials, and report back to the military later. This planet is a bit weird. Not only is it spring all year round, but the exotic beasts have also mutated to varying degrees, and it is difficult for life detectors to detect their traces." Gu Qingheng nodded in response, and then asked the team members who were still exploring outside, "There was a problem in the east, and I don't know if there will be accidents in the other 3 directions. Let them all come back." Yi Hongwen didn't think there was anything difficult about this. When something unexpected happened, of course the safety of the team members was the top priority, and completing the mission was no longer the focus. "Don't take any action after you come back, and wait for the military's order." "Okay, I'll contact them right away," Gu Qingheng said, and left the infirmary. After Gu Qingheng left, Lin Miaomiao wanted to go to the inner room to see Zheng Qi, who was seriously injured and lying in the repair cabin, but she was worried about Yi Hongwen, whose face was frosty, so she whispered, "Everyone is still waiting for news at the door. Should we let them go back first?" Those who were guarding the door were also anxious. They had just experienced a fierce battle and must be exhausted both physically and mentally. They might not even have had dinner. It would be better to go back and rest. "No need," Yi Hongwen shook his head. "It won't help to let them rest at this time. We are all worried about the safety of our teammates. Let's wait and see." The 3 seriously injured were sent directly to the repair cabin for rescue. They couldn't be released within 2 hours. Several of the slightly injured were stabilized after treatment. According to Ji Yuang, the slightly injured were just dizzy due to overdrawn mental strength, which affected their ability to control the mecha. They were also squeezed by the gravity of the mecha and suffered internal injuries. "I'll give them some repair fluid later, let them rest for a few days, and get more nutrition," Ji Yuang said with drooping eyelids. Of course, they can't get on the mecha for half a month. The other doctors were already busy injecting repair fluid into the injured. Seeing that nothing serious was wrong, Yi Hongwen was relieved and asked about the condition of the 3 seriously injured. The 3 of them were directly attacked by the alien beasts. "That little girl named Zheng Qi is so pitiful. Her mecha is almost destroyed," Ji Yuang sighed. "What about her? Did she suffer any irreparable injuries?" Lin Miaomiao asked anxiously. Since she was in the repair chamber, she would definitely be able to be saved, but she was a little worried. If the mecha was destroyed, Zheng Qi would be directly exposed to the alien beast. It would be bad if she lost an arm or a leg. These days, the regeneration of broken limbs is limited to small parts like fingers, but it is impossible to regenerate a huge arm. Artificial arms and legs can be installed, but they're not as good as the originals, and they can't be used for strenuous exercise or training. You might not even be able to be a mecha pilot, so you have to change careers. Fortunately, Zheng Qi was lucky. After the mecha was destroyed, she fell out of the cabin and was caught by Luo Cheng, who rushed over. She didn't lose any limbs, but there was one thing: the earth spikes from the giant ape grazed her face, scratching her pretty face. The scratches are pretty serious. Maybe there's a risk of disfigurement, Gu Yang said with pity. Looking at the other half of her face, she looks pretty. I wonder if her family can afford to buy top-notch skin repair fluid. Before joining the army, you have to be prepared for the loss of your life. If you get injured during a mission, the fleet will naturally treat you. But for permanent injuries like missing limbs and disfigurement, the fleet can't spend huge amounts of money to treat them. After all, military funds are limited. Lin Miaomiao felt relieved. If it weren't for the missing limbs, she wouldn't have considered it such a big deal. Disfigurement was just a matter of buying a bottle of repair fluid. Whether the Zhang family could afford it, or whether they would even buy it for Zhang Keek, she didn't care much. She could just lend Keek the money. But before she could finish her words, the team members gathered at the door started saying, as long as he's okay, it's fine. Disfigurement is just a matter of buying top-tier repair fluid. If you don't have enough credit points, I can help with some. Yeah, it's just credit points. I still have tens of thousands. Oh, isn't that your wife's money? Brother Kui, if you're willing to spend it, I'm sure I'll have to spend some too. Chapter 417 Bloodthirsty Ants. Before the matter was settled, everyone was already buzzing with excitement, gathering the credits needed to buy the top-tier repair fluid. Lin Miaomiao, of course, chipped in as well. After all, Zhang Keek had a good relationship with her, so she couldn't just sit back and do nothing. Although Yi Hongwen was a little surprised, he didn't stop the team members from being affectionate with each other. Only Gu Yang said unhappily, "What's wrong with you? You're treating the infirmary like a market, making so much noise. Aren't you afraid of disturbing the patients?" Everyone fell silent instantly. They were just relieved to hear their companions were fine, but they didn't want to disturb the patients either. Since the seriously injured aren't in danger of death, everyone should go back and rest. Yi Hongwen finally stood up, ready to dismiss them. But before the people were sent away, Yi Hongwen received a video call from Gu Qingheng, and then got an important news. Did a team member encounter a swarm of bloodthirsty ants on their way back? Yes, Gu Qingheng said with a grim expression. I have deliberately asked the team members in the north to bypass the area you went and come back, but who knew they still encountered a swarm of ants, probably thousands of them, and flying ants blocked their departure, and bloodthirsty ants kept rushing over. I guess the ant nest is nearby. What about the other two teams? They have been notified to rush over for support, but the distance is still far, and they may not be able to get there in a while. Yi Hongwen thought for a while. I will take the team members who are still able to fight to support first. You wait for news on the ship, and notify me immediately if there is any emergency. After hanging up the video call, before Yi Hongwen asked, the people standing at the door had already consciously lined up, and Lin Miaomiao also stood in very politely. Yi Hongwen paused for a moment, then said, those of you who have exhausted too much mental energy, please step forward. All the third-level mecha operators, stay aboard. A few hesitated, then reluctantly stepped forward. Several third-level mecha operators refused to step forward. The bloodthirsty ants are second-level monsters, and we can help. Time was pressing, and since they could indeed help, Yi Hongwen didn't bother to argue and acquiesced to taking them along, simply urging them to be careful. The battle took place not far from where Lin Miaomiao and the others had encountered the bloodthirsty ants. However, while making a detour, they encountered a swarm of ants that had emerged to forage. Seeing the situation was dire, they tried to flee back to the warship, but they were unaware that the swarm contained flying ants, preventing them from escaping. To make matters worse, the ant nest was nearby, and soon more bloodthirsty ants aggressively attacked them, causing the swarm to complain bitterly. This team was led by Hongbo, and many of them were familiar to Lin Miaomiao, such as Bai Jin, Yu Zixin, Zhu Chen, and Feng Liken. It was unclear whether they were foolhardy or confident they could hold out until reinforcements arrived, but even at this point, they were still in the mood for jokes. They say ants can be made into wine, and it's good for your health. I wonder if these bloodthirsty ants would be any good, Yu Zixin said, feeling rather anxious. His father loved making ants into wine. Always saying the bigger the better. He wondered what his father's expression would be if he caught a few bloodthirsty ants and sent them back. Are you trying to scare your father? Bai Jin complained. The ants used for the wine were alive, so whether these bloodthirsty ants could make wine was still a question. Given their ability to devour metal, They could easily devour humans. Licken, you're so boring, Zixin said unhappily, commanding his mecha to split a flying ant, but he barely avoided the bloodthirsty ants that fell from above. Fortunately, Zuchen was always behind them, protecting them. After a single strike killed the bloodthirsty queen ant that had charged at Zixin, Zuchen helplessly warned them, "Stop chatting." The flying ants have changed their attack strategy. They still had time for some banter, relying on their small numbers to only trip them up, not stop them. But now the ants, realizing this, stopped attacking directly and instead snatched their companions from the giant ant formations, throwing them onto their mechas. The wings looked flimsy, but they held strong, capable of carrying 2 or 3 bloodthirsty ants at a time. Yu Hongbo and his companions were able to resist at first, but eventually they couldn't. The saying a large number of ants can kill an elephant was true, and with so many bloodthirsty ants, they could devour their mechas. "Attack their wings," Yu Hongbo said gravely. "Don't let them give us any more opportunities." "Understood," they responded, swinging their weapons at the wings. Killing an ant in midair was difficult, and severing its wings was equally challenging. But to buy time until reinforcements arrived, everyone fought tooth and nail. Fortunately, they were not weaklings. Although they were a little embarrassed, they still managed to wait for reinforcements in one piece. "The boss is here, the reinforcements are here, we finally don't have to fight these damn ants to death." Zixin was so excited that he couldn't contain himself. The sword he chopped at the flying ant missed, and the flying ant rushed onto his mecha and instantly devoured several parts of the mecha cabin. "Zin, be careful," Zuchen's warning was a few seconds late. He didn't dare to attack the flying ant with a weapon, so he could only command the mecha to grab it with his bare hands and pull the flying ant off directly. However, the flying ant devoured several of Bai Kei's knuckles. The flying ant had a strong suction force, and Bai Kei couldn't shake it off for a while. Zuchen had no choice but to harden his heart and simply swung his sword to cut off the mecha's right arm. Zixin screamed, "Chen, are you okay?" "It's okay," Zuchen shouted. "Even with an arm missing, Bai Kei can still attack. Stay focused. Even if the boss arrives, he won't be able to wipe out these flying ants in one fell swoop." More and more blood-sucking ants were rushing out of the ant nest. Even more terrifying, there were a large number of flying ants among them, making it difficult for them to escape. "Boss, what should we do?" Luo Cheng asked as he fended off the flying ants. He had been searching north with several level 5 mecha pilots, but upon receiving the news of their return, he immediately turned back, arriving to the rescue even before Yu Hongwen and the others. If it weren't for the arrival of several level 5 mechas, Yu Hongbo and the others might not have been able to hold out for this long. However, by the time reinforcements arrived, many of their mechas had been devoured and bitten by the blood-sucking ants, significantly weakening their attack power. Luo Cheng was worried about the upcoming battle. Yi Hongwen was also pondering this question. "I wonder how many bloodthirsty ants are still in the ant nest. I'm going to go check it out. If possible, I'll blow up the nest and cut off their reinforcements." They were currently in an area of lush vegetation, which could easily start a fire. Furthermore, artillery fire was indiscriminate, so if they used firearms recklessly, they would likely kill 1,000 enemies and lose only 500 of their own. But if they went to the ant nest, it would be different. The bloodthirsty ants were burrowing creatures, and the nest would be cold and dark, devoid of vegetation. Yi Hongwen wouldn't have to worry about accidentally injuring his companions if they went alone. No, Luo Cheng disagreed. Although the bloodthirsty ants are only level 2 alien beasts, the queen is at least level 5. With the protection of the bloodthirsty soldier ants and flying ants, it's too dangerous for you to go in alone. "I think you've misunderstood," Yi Hongwen pointed out calmly. "I only want to find the ant nest and blow it up, not go in." Luo Cheng, "Boss, aren't you planning on going into the ant nest alone to eliminate the enemy?" Chapter 418 Blowing Up the Ant Nest. Yi Hongwen could only call Luo Cheng's idea naive. He was only a level 6 mecha pilot, not arrogant enough to believe he could single-handedly eliminate the queen ant, a swarm of bloodthirsty soldier ants, and the unknown number of bloodthirsty worker ants within the ant nest. Even if a level 6 mecha had a powerful light cannon, he wouldn't dare act rashly. His sole purpose in seeking out the ant nest was to destroy it directly from outside the cave, thereby blocking the bloodthirsty ant reinforcements and giving everyone a chance to return to the ship. After instructing Luo Cheng to take care of the people present, Yi Hongwen dispatched the flying ants that were pursuing him and directed the Black Lotus to fly in the direction of the bloodthirsty ants. Lin Miaomiao, who was fighting back-to-back with Fenliken and the others, glanced up at the receding level 6 mecha and considered giving chase, but ultimately gave up. Black Lotus followed the bloodthirsty ants for 3 or 4 kilometers and soon found the ant nest. It was at the foot of a nearby mountain, over 100 meters high. The entrance was hidden by dense vines, and if it weren't for the bloodthirsty ants emerging from within, he would have been unable to find it. Yi Hongwen observed for a moment and noticed that the number of bloodthirsty ants emerging was decreasing, not increasing. He knew his decision to destroy the ant nest was the right one. Without blocking their reinforcements, escaping the battle would be difficult. However, he was unsure whether his attack would be able to blast the entrance. The nest was protected by thick vines. If he missed, the horde's queen ant and bloodthirsty soldier ants might emerge to intervene. After a moment's hesitation, he decided to clear the vines first. This would at most alert the flying ants and worker ants, but would not pose a significant threat to him. With his mind made up, Yi Hongwen no longer hesitated. After communicating with Black Lotus, he directly controlled the mecha and slashed at the vines surrounding the cave entrance with a series of fierce blows, cleanly severing the obstructing vines. The large vines that fell stunned the bloodthirsty ants at the cave entrance. Black Lotus leaped forward, stabbing down with his greatsword, dispatching the bloodthirsty ants beneath the vines. He then smoothly parted the vines to the left and right, revealing a 2-meter wide, 1-meter tall cave. The bloodthirsty ants, which hadn't had time to emerge yet, finally reacted, waving their antennae as they charged towards Black Lotus. However, before they could reach Black Lotus retracted its greatsword and summoned its light cannon, gathering its power and launching a swift attack into the cave. With a resounding boom, the cave entrance collapsed. The bloodthirsty ants, enraged, stretched their antennae skyward as they leaped towards Black Lotus. Dozens of flying ants surrounded Black Lotus, attempting to descend upon it and devour it. Yi Hongwen frowned, controlling his mech and spinning rapidly several times with his sword held horizontally. He swatted the flying ants away, then took advantage of the opportunity to surge upward, unexpectedly gaining a distance of 10 meters. Just as he was about to return the way he'd come, several vines clung to Black Lotus. They were the same vines he'd just severed. "These vines are actually alien plants," Yi Hongwen exclaimed in astonishment. He had never seen alien beasts and plants coexist peacefully. Normally, alien plants wouldn't appear in alien beast nests. He had many questions in mind, but he didn't have time to ponder them. He swung his sword to push back the vines, but only for a few seconds before the flying ants resumed their pursuit. Knowing his escape was impossible, Yi Hongwen fired his less powerful quantum cannon diagonally at the flying ants, destroying many of the vines in the process. Under the bombardment, only a few of the ants, quick to react, ducked to the side, while the rest were reduced to black ash, drifting into the air. The alien beasts knew no fear. Even after losing many of their companions, they would continue to charge as long as they were still alive. The flying ants that had dodged the barrage charged again, enraged, and the vines dangling from the mountaintop grew thicker, sweeping towards them. "Leave this mountain," Yi Hongwen thought in a flash, and the Black Lotus quickly flew back. However, the alien plants and flying ants refused to let him go and chased him with their fangs and claws bared. "Master, they are too fast. If we keep running, they will catch up soon," the Black Lotus said worriedly. Keep rushing forward. Yi Hongwen knew that running was not a solution, but the alien plant's main body was at the edge of the mountain. If he attacked there, he would suffer a great loss. A vine was moving faster and had stretched in front of the Black Lotus, wrapping around the mecha cabin and trying to pull it back. The Black Lotus swung its sword and chopped it down, but unexpectedly, the vine, although only as thick as a human arm, was very tough. The sword did not cut the vine, but it broke a hole in the sword. "Master, why did you buy me a low-quality sword?" Heiress angrily accused. "It couldn't even cut through a thin vine, and it even broke." Yi Hongwen was speechless. He had clearly bought the best mecha giant sword, so it was hardly his fault that the vines were too strong. But then again, where had Heiress's composure gone? Even if he had bought a disposable, inferior weapon, with his temperament, he wouldn't have been so aggressive and accused him. Had he been infected by Aoksu? "Heiress, where's your self-control?" Yi Hongwen said unhappily. "Some damage in battle is inevitable. You should have known that, but isn't a weapon that can't even cut through a vine a bit too poor?" Heiress felt extremely aggrieved, but she still followed her master's instructions, flying forward and continuously slashing at the sturdy vines. Finally, she managed to sever the vines before the giant sword completely collapsed. "Don't argue. I'll get you a new one when I get back," Yi Hongwen promised coldly. That vine is probably the main vine of the alien plant. It's not surprising that it's difficult to cut. It's not the weapon's fault. Despite her dissatisfaction, Black Lotus reluctantly accepted his explanation. She had no choice but to accept it. For the sake of her perfect and wise image, this explanation had to be correct. Yi Hongwen's guess was correct. The alien plant's main vine had been severed, instantly damaging its vitality. It dared not pursue further. It thrashed and rolled in place for a long time, uprooting the grass and destroying the land before finally giving up. The more troublesome thing was the flying ants. Halion was entangled in the vines for a while, and they returned to pursue her. "Since there aren't many of them, I'd better deal with them first before returning," Yi Hongwen paused, thinking. Black Lotus hummed, "Master, let me remind you, your energy is less than 20%. We must fight quickly." Yi Hongwen silently took out a level 6 energy card, and Black Lotus instantly shut up. With this card, it could easily handle hundreds more bloodthirsty ants. Seeing the level 6 energy card, Black Lotus was like a beast that had been hungry for decades. Its cooperation with its master was tacit, and its attacks were effective almost as soon as Yi Hongwen's mental power was activated. It was eager to use up the remaining energy and eliminate the pursuing flying ants in a matter of minutes. "How come there's still 15%? Black Lotus shouted in frustration. "Let's go save your teammates. If we're too late, what if someone else gets hurt?" Yi Hongwen was speechless at her eagerness to use up all her energy immediately. What's so appealing about the level 6 energy card? Besides the larger capacity, the energy seemed to be the same. Of course. With a level 6 energy card, I can show off to Aoksu. It's sure to make her drool, Black Lotus said confidently. Yi Hongwen raised his eyebrows. "I remember that you didn't pay much attention to Aoksu. How come you changed your mind and fell in love with it?" Halion choked. "Who likes that idiot?" "It's because you suddenly got together with its owner, so I have to give your wife some face." What he said made so much sense that Yi Hongwen was speechless. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 419 Night Party. Even after blocking the cave entrance, the bloodthirsty ants still emerged in considerable numbers. Even with the other teams rushing in to support them, the battle was incredibly difficult. After defeating all the bloodthirsty ants, everyone collapsed in their mecha cabins, unwilling to move. Even Luo Cheng and the other side, fighting alien beasts is worse than fighting those imperial bastards. At least in space, we don't have to worry about fire, that's right. Bloodthirsty ants the size of human heads have made us so miserable. None of the alien beasts are good, someone agreed. Lin Miaomiao curled her lips. If a transformed alien beast heard this, they would probably beat them to the point of being unable to care for themselves. "Alright, shut up," Yi Hongwen said coldly. "Get up. I only blew up the bloodthirsty ant nest. The bloodthirsty ants inside could come out for revenge at any time. If we can't outrun them later," no one dared to take any chances, and could only lament, "Tough luck," before gathering their spirits and rushing back. Yi Hongwen froze the crew members, then turned and gently called out to his girlfriend, "Miaomiao, can you still hold on? Do you want to ride the Black Lotus back with me?" "No," Lin Miaomiao flatly requested. "I'm too lazy to move. Just have the Black Lotus drag Aoksu." "Okay," Yi Hongwen resignedly issued the order, having the Black Lotus drag Aoksu back. The Black Lotus actually refused. It didn't want to drag Aoksu at all, but it couldn't refuse a direct order from its master, so it had to carry out its orders while muttering. Unfortunately, its master had learned his lesson, and after hearing a few complaints, he threatened, "If you keep nagging, I'll format you when we get back." The Black Lotus instantly quieted down. They had disembarked with such high spirits on their mission, only to encounter an incident within an afternoon and evening. Everyone could only lament the poor start, with some even speculating on conspiracy. In the captain's cabin, Yi Hongwen and Gu Qingheng were discussing the upcoming events. They were still reeling from the day's mishaps, but fortunately, while over a dozen were injured, no one had died. "Everyone, rest aboard tomorrow. The military should respond soon. We'll see what their plans are then. Yi Hongwen's face was frozen, a frost that wouldn't melt. Sigh, when Zixi sighed. I'm being unbelievable. The military only gave it a 2-star risk assessment, saying it would be time-consuming, and yet, on the first day, things are already so disastrous. Not to mention the stone men, even level 5 alien beasts and level 2 bloodthirsty ant swarms have appeared. Luo Cheng felt a pang of sympathy, but seeing everyone's somber expressions, he tried to lighten the mood, jokingly saying, Yiffy, you must be speculating again that this mission is a conspiracy. Someone's trying to frame us. Everyone except Liu Yiffy couldn't help but laugh. With his lively and impulsive nature, such a suggestion seemed plausible. However, this mission certainly couldn't have been a setup. The military's mission assessors weren't just humans, they were also intelligent robots. Bribing human assessors was easy, but bribing intelligent robots was impossible. Okay, let's get back to the point. Yi Hongwen explained the main purpose of this meeting. Regardless of what the military decides later, since we've discovered the bloodthirsty ant colony, we must find a way to eliminate it. If the military sends a fleet to take over, we won't return empty-handed. The black crystal core within the stone man's head represents a unique energy source, studied by many scientists. If sold, it could fetch a high price. After clearing the stone mountain, Yi Hongwen recovered the core and confiscated it. The proceeds would be used to fund fleet construction. After the level 5 alien beasts were eliminated, the edible ones were stored in the kitchen freezer. While the bloodthirsty ants were inedible, their sharp teeth could be processed into small hidden weapons. Their saliva was corrosive, even more potent than the stone man's gastric juices. Most importantly, their saliva could be extracted. After eliminating the bloodthirsty ant queen that was besieging everyone, Yi Hongwen didn't immediately request to return to the ship, not to give everyone a break. Instead, he released several idiot robots from the space button to clean up the battlefield, the bodies of the bloodthirsty ants. So, while today's surprises were numerous, the fleet also gained a great deal. It's just that no one has yet realized it. Boss, your reflexes are truly remarkable, Liu Yifei exclaimed, completely impressed. Upon receiving the news that the team members were in distress, he organized a rescue effort while remembering the value of the bloodthirsty ants, even bringing along robots to clean up the battlefield. No wonder he was so young and could become captain, while he was just a follower. Luo Cheng, puzzled, asked, since we're going to take down the bloodthirsty ant colony, why do we have to rest aboard tomorrow? Wouldn't it be better to start sooner? This would prevent the military from sending in reinforcements or taking over, giving other fleets an advantage. Yi Hongwen curled his lips and was about to offer an explanation, but Gu Qinghang spoke first. It's actually quite simple. Everyone's exhausted today, and quite a few are injured. They definitely need a good rest. Besides, the ant nest was just destroyed, so they need time to rebuild their entrance. So that's how it is, Luo Cheng said, realizing that he hadn't thought through such a simple principle. Idiots are always prone to spreading rumors. It was all Liu Yifei's fault. We need to be cautious when it comes to suppressing the blood-sucking ants. Let's not talk about the methods, let's just talk about the people involved. Almost all of those injured today were level 3 mechas, which proves their reflexes are too slow, when Zixi suggested. Let's let the level 4 and level 5 members do the work. No, Gu Qinghang objected. While the blood-sucking ants are troublesome, it wouldn't be good if we were outnumbered. Let the level 3 mechas stand back during the suppression. I think the deputy captain has a point, Luo Cheng agreed. I think Masquiro's suggestion is better, Liu Yifei said unyieldingly. The two stared at each other, neither able to convince the other. They seemed even more anxious than the one who had made the suggestion. Finally, they ignored Wen and Gu and asked Yi Hongwen to seek justice. Yi Hongwen said calmly, except for the injured, everyone else should go, including the third-level mecha divisions. Since we are here, it would not be good to let them rest in the captain's room. Okay, when Zixi had to admit this, then how should we fight? Should we enter the ant nest, or find a way to force the bloodthirsty ants out of the nest? Everyone was silent. They had never encountered bloodthirsty ants and had no experience in dealing with burrowing monsters. For a moment, they really didn't have any good ideas. This matter is very important, I think, Yi Hongwen spoke very seriously. The others pricked up their ears and waited attentively to hear his thoughts, but unexpectedly he changed the subject and said, let's go back to the room to rest first. We'll go back to look up more information and collect more ways to deal with the blood-sucking ants. We'll have a meeting tomorrow to discuss the clearing out. Liu Yifei and Luo Cheng thought it made sense, and patted their chests to say that they would study the blood-sucking ants more. When Zixi and Gu Qingheng were very resentful. Since they were not in a hurry, why did they have to hold a meeting overnight? They hesitated for so long and only agreed to take action against the blood-sucking ants. It was a waste of time. Chapter 420 Hunting Low-Level Monsters. On the afternoon of the second day after arriving at Energy Planet, the team members stayed in their rooms to recuperate. The fleet's leadership met again, this time thoroughly researched and thoroughly prepared. The plan to exterminate the bloodthirsty ants was successfully completed. Entering the ant nest was considered too dangerous, so this method was ruled out from the outset. This left only the option of luring the bloodthirsty ants out of the nest and killing them. However, while luring out ordinary worker and flying ants was easy, luring out a level 5 queen was more difficult. After much discussion, the team decided to exploit the bloodthirsty ants' preferred diet as a key point, luring out and eliminating the common bloodthirsty ants first. The bloodthirsty ants survive by feeding on insects, but their preferred food is not insects, but blood of all kinds. This blood not only satiates their hunger but also fuels their evolution. Therefore, their habitat is largely devoid of exotic beasts. They are either devoured or have moved away. Aside from the life-saving plasma in the infirmary's cold storage, there was no other blood on board the Shenyu. Producing enough blood to lure the bloodthirsty ants was a major problem. It wasn't like everyone could just slit their wrists and bleed. How about we go buy some? Liu Yifei said seriously. Those fresh produce supermarkets have their own farms and ranches, and they slaughter a lot of livestock every day. Wouldn't it be great if they could sell some of their blood to us? Do you think those star delivery companies can deliver here? Luo Cheng poured cold water on him. The area around the energy star was a vast expanse of undeveloped asteroids. Star delivery companies couldn't enter without maps, and even if they did, they wouldn't come here just for a single sale. Why not send someone to buy it? We have warships anyway, Liu Yifei muttered, feeling his idea was a good one. That would be too cumbersome, resource-intensive, and energy-intensive, when Zixi thought, feeling something was amiss, as if he'd overlooked something. Gu Qingheng shook his head and laughed. There was no blood on board to use as bait, so couldn't they just go down and look for it? I remember the team members who went exploring to the west yesterday said there were a lot of low-level alien beasts there. Let's go hunting and collect some fresh blood before we go tomorrow. Yes, Yi Hongwen nodded. I'll go to the place where I encountered the level 5 alien beast tomorrow and see if there are any more. The queen ant doesn't like the blood of low-level alien beasts. The team leaders were confused. They had defeated the alien beasts yesterday. How could they have overlooked such a simple and effective solution? Yi Hongwen didn't bother to pay attention to the three who had been hit hard. He discussed the next issue with Gu Qingheng. Level 3 mecha operators following behind are also prone to danger. I think it's better to have them lead the way, and then arrange for level 4 mecha operators to provide one-on-one support. That's fine too. The remaining level 4 and level 5 mecha operators will be mobile and monitor the entire area. If any teammates are in danger, they will help. This point was also agreed upon, and the encirclement and suppression of the blood-sucking ants was settled. On the morning of the third day, the exhausted team members had recovered their energy. And several level 3 mecha masters who had been slightly injured also recovered after being injected with repair fluid. After breakfast, everyone did not leave the restaurant, but gathered in the restaurant waiting for action. Because it was a collective action, and because Yi Hongwen was also responsible for hunting the level 5 alien beasts, Lin Miaomiao also acted with his friends this time, and did not follow behind him to get in the way. Oh, Miaomiao is willing to leave the captain and follow us today. Liu Gadir, who was unaware of the situation, was amazed. Why, you don't want to take me with you? Lin Miaomiao glared at him unhappily. If you don't want to, I'll go with someone else. You think too much? Fang Licken said with a smile. You are a level 4 mecha master, why do you need to take you with you? It's me, who just got promoted to level 4, and I still need your help to look after me. This was more like it. Lin Miaomiao reluctantly agreed to her friend's request. At 8 o'clock sharp, Gu Qingheng appeared at the restaurant entrance. Yi Hongwen was acting alone, and he was the leader of the team going west to hunt low-level exotic beasts. Luo Cheng and Fan Lei assisted. As for Liu Yifei, he had escaped the fate of guarding the garrison, but was once again tasked with guarding the warship. Before the operation, the necessary instructions were still given, so Gu Qingheng spent a few more minutes explaining the mission. especially the purpose of hunting low-level exotic beasts. We can't use large-scale hot weapons to hunt them. If you blow the exotic beasts to slag, you won't be able to draw blood. You should also be careful when using cold weapons. It's best to knock the exotic beast unconscious to avoid draining it of blood. Lin Miaomiao couldn't help but sigh. Brother Banzun was able to show his skills again. His weapons were well suited for this situation. Many of her teammates shared her sentiment. When they encountered their first flame rabbit, they all shouted, "Brother Banzun, it's up to you." Brother Banzun was kind enough to say, "It's just a stupid level 1 rabbit. Watch me, I'll make sure it doesn't even have time to spit fire." As expected, the flame rabbit died before it could even launch an attack, flattened by the brick. The bleeding wasn't a big deal, its bones were shattered. Ha ha ha, rumbles of laughter echoed over the main channel, and everyone couldn't stop laughing. "Brother Banzun, you're mighty and powerful, but it looks like that rabbit you hit is out of health," Gu Qingheng said sinisterly. Brother Banzun suddenly felt his scalp tingling. Knowing that no one could see, he still cried and begged for mercy. "I didn't mean to do it. I just accidentally used too much force." Of course Brother Banzun didn't mean to do it. "He did it on purpose," someone said. "He wanted to use the brick to intimidate us. Deputy Captain Gu must not let him go." "You Hongbo, shut up," Brother Banzun said with gritted teeth. "Don't think that I can't tell that you are taking advantage of your misfortune just because you pinched your voice." The conspiracy was exposed, and the people who made trouble disappeared in an instant. Gu Qingheng suppressed his smile. "Okay, forget it this time. Everyone be careful later." "Got it," everyone responded and turned to move forward. Lin Miaomiao glanced at the rabbit on the ground, puzzled. "You don't want that rabbit anymore?" "No," Gu Qingheng said gently. "It's useless without blood, and it can't be eaten if it's bloody. But isn't the blood drawn to lure the bloodthirsty ants out of the nest? The smell of blood should be enough." Lin Miaomiao wondered if they were being foolish, or if she was. They weren't preparing food for them, so why did they have to take pure blood? Gu Qingheng was stunned, realizing they'd fallen into a trap. They weren't going to feed the bloodthirsty ants. How could such a bloody beast be useless if it was left outside the ant nest? "We were foolish," Gu Qingheng said with a smile. "Everyone, attack as you please. Just don't blow the beast to ash." "Yeah," everyone cheered. The hunting had become easier, and they no longer had to be restrained. Low-level alien beasts are not very big in size. For example, the flame rabbit that was flattened was only about 1 meter tall. Although it was chubby, it could not withstand a blow from a mecha weapon. You have to know that each mecha weapon weighs hundreds or even thousands of pounds. Chapter 421 Melee. With Gu Qingheng's words, everyone felt more relaxed. They stopped gathering together and scattered to look for exotic beasts. Just as the people who had investigated this place said, these were all low-level exotic beasts, such as flame rabbits, swift deer, and earth pheasants, all of which were just small first and second-level exotic beasts. Well, actually, they weren't that small. Rabbits and chickens that were 1 meter tall, and deer that were over 3 meters tall, were several times larger than animals in the 21st century. Half an hour later, everyone gathered at the designated location again, each mecha holding a few bloody exotic beasts. "It seems like everyone is being very rough," Lin Miaomiao sighed softly. Liu Kao had sharp ears, and after hearing her vague words, she asked, "Miaomiao, what did you say?" "Nothing much, just saying that everyone got a lot of rewards," Lin Miaomiao replied with a dry laugh. "Oh," Liu Kao said doubtfully, glancing at Aoksu. Seeing that Aoksu hadn't taken anything, she couldn't help but smile. "Miaomiao, didn't you kill any exotic beasts?" Lin Miaomiao's gloating was so strong that she couldn't help but roll her eyes. She gritted her teeth and said, "Are you happy that I didn't kill any exotic beasts?" Of course, Liu Kao refused to admit it. "How could that be? I was asking if I could give you one, so you don't have to." "Haha, Kao, you're so kind to me," Lin Miaomiao said hypocritically. "But one is too few. I want two." Liu Kao's face drooped instantly. She had only killed 3 exotic beasts. If she gave away 2, she would be laughed at. "Miaomiao, don't be like that," Liu Kao said pitifully. "You should ask the boss to give you 2. Yi Hongwen had just exchanged information with Gu Qingheng on the main channel. It was said that he had killed 7 or 8 4th-tier exotic beasts and 3 5th-tier exotic beasts. It was a pretty good harvest. "Tisk, I'm just asking for your 2 beasts, And you're just cutting off your flesh, Lin Miaomiao pouted in boredom. Alright, I don't want yours anymore. I have my own. Liu Kaoyer was about to cry. How could she be so funny? Could we still be friends? Ahem, Gu Qingheng couldn't stand it any longer and spoke up for his lieutenant. Is everyone here? Let's head to the ant nest now. With a confirmation, Gu Qingheng led the way towards the ant nest. Everyone was dumbfounded. Was he just going to take all those bloody beasts? They'd all assumed the lieutenant would gather them up and take them away, but they were utterly frustrated, but no one dared to voice their opinion. They could only follow behind, clutching the bloody beasts in frustration. The distance to the beast's nest was hundreds of miles, and it took over half an hour in a mecha at full speed. Before they even got close, Lin Miaomiao spotted the Black Lotus soaring in the air, with a steep mountain a few hundred meters away. Is it at the foot of this mountain? Gu Qingheng glanced at the foot of the mountain, but saw nothing. The mountain was covered in dense vines. Yes, Yi Hongwen's cold voice echoed over the main channel. Throw those alien beasts to the ground and lure them out. Before they could even throw the alien beasts down, the strong smell of blood had already attracted the bloodthirsty ants from the cave. Groups of 3 or 5 ants scurried towards where they stood. At first, they were just ordinary worker ants. Unable to fly into the air to snatch the alien beasts, they once again played the game of archaeological pitfalls. Soon, flying ants also emerged, charging directly at the mecha group, targeting the dead alien beasts, unfazed by the iron tools holding them. Wow, these bloodthirsty ants are so desperate to eat. I've never seen such alien beasts, Luo Cheng exclaimed, his voice punctuated with exclamations. That's because they believe in their own strength, Gu Qingheng chuckled. They believe they can defeat and devour us. Lin Miaomiao frowned. These blood-sucking ants are too arrogant, and they have such self-centered ideas. The others were even more excited when they heard this, and they all said, such strange beasts should be destroyed. Destroy their household registration books and their family tree. Well, in fact, blood-sucking ants don't have household registration books or family trees. Everyone just thinks this slogan is louder, that's all. The blood-sucking ants have crawled out, and everyone can't sit idle. So they howled and threw the strange beasts in their hands, drew their swords and slashed at the blood-sucking ants. If they couldn't hit the wings, they would cut the bodies. If they couldn't hit the bodies, they would switch them up and down, left and right, and move around as they slashed to avoid being pounced by the flying ants. The most miserable was Brother Brick. Unable to hit the flying ants in the air, he could only use the brick to torture the worker ants on the ground. Then, to his surprise, the stacked worker ants were incredibly easy to smash. A single blow unleashed a massive ant cake, creating a massive crater in the ground. The flying ants' new abilities were also quite impressive. They used the worker ants on the ground as hidden weapons, hurling them up and down. Any mech that was even slightly slower to dodge would suffer. Fortunately, each level 3 mech was accompanied by a level 4 mech, so they weren't hit too often. Time ticked by, and the corpses of the bloodthirsty ants on the ground piled up. However, a steady stream of worker ants and flying ants continued to emerge from the cave to provide support. The alien beasts, unconcerned with the remains of their comrades, used the pile of their comrades' bodies to close the distance between them and the mechas in the air. Wow, this ant colony is too big, Luo Cheng couldn't help screaming. How long will this fight last? Are we going to die of exhaustion here? Bah. Luo Cheng, stop talking nonsense here, okay? You are destroying the morale of your teammates, Fan Lei accused righteously, and then changed the subject. I am not single yet, I haven't drunk the boss's wedding, and I haven't taken care of my parents in their old age, so I don't want to die here. Old Fan, you want to be single? Stop daydreaming, when Zixi said coldly, there's nothing wrong with drinking the boss's wedding, but as for taking care of my parents in their old age, I guess you're just talking casually. It's not that Fan Lei has no conscience and is unwilling to take care of his parents in their old age, but Fan's parents are not yet 70 years old, and they are in good health like young people. How could they be willing to retire and enjoy their old age? These bloodthirsty ants are too aggressive. We need to pick off some of the dead ones first, lest they climb any higher, Yi Hongwen thought to himself. He instantly soared several hundred meters, manipulating the Black Lotus. He opened the hatch of his mech and released several idiot robots from the space button. Go down and clean up the battlefield. Be careful to avoid any living alien beasts, Yi Hongwen instructed. The idiot robots weren't very effective, but their built-in space buttons held a large capacity, and they were quite fast to escape. Therefore, he felt comfortable leaving them to clean up the battlefield during the melee. After battling the bloodthirsty ants for over an hour, even with bodyguards, many level 3 mech operators were inevitably caught by the ants, leaving many mechas completely devoured. Seeing this, Ye Hongwen ordered his men to cover their retreat. Some people retreated obediently, but some felt that they shouldn't abandon their teammates and were reluctant to leave. Finally, Ye Hongwen said something stern: "The mechas are all damaged. You are not helping but dragging down your teammates. If you are not stupid enough, get back to the ship." Boss Ye was too sharp-tongued, and those who were dragging them away in shame and anger. Chapter 422 Bloodthirsty Ant Queen. When larger, more spiky winged creatures emerged from the bloodthirsty flying ants, Ye Hongwen sensed the queen's strain, for these were her soldiers. The Black Lotus's arsenal of exotic beasts might be useless, Ye Hongwen thought to himself, then couldn't help but laugh. Even better, those exotic beasts were edible. They'd be a great snack for his girlfriend, and fresh exotic meat tasted much better than frozen. Captain Yi's thoughts were swirling, while he simultaneously sounded a warning over the main channel. The bloodthirsty soldier ants have emerged. Not only are they several times faster than the flying ants, they can also use ice abilities. The speed is noteworthy, but how powerful can ice abilities be on a half-meter-long exotic beast? Luo Cheng scoffed. His words were punctured by a swarm of bloodthirsty soldier ants charging at him. Luo Cheng sped to dodge, but the soldiers, missing their strikes, turned and unleashed a barrage of icy spikes at him. These spikes were no bigger than a palm, moving incredibly fast and impossible to dodge. "Get out of the way," Ye Hongwen shouted, frowning, but he couldn't explain why. "What's so scary about such tiny spikes?" Luo Cheng replied nonchalantly. He simply gave up dodging and, taking advantage of the moment the soldier ants tired of spitting ice, dispatched them with his sword. He then realized that the seemingly insignificant spikes were incredibly destructive. Where his mecha had been struck, many parts were frozen solid, rendering it completely unresponsive. "Oh my god, what the hell is this ice? Could it be 10,000 years old? It's freezing my mecha to bits," Luo Cheng cried, tears welling in his eyes. "Boss, help. I'm falling." Below him were swarms of bloodthirsty worker ants, ready to devour him in seconds. Ye Hongwen was too far away to save him. He was about to lose control and fall into the ant colony when Gu Qingheng, who was closer, finally grabbed him. "Huh?" Luo Cheng breathed a sigh of relief. "Thank goodness I didn't fall, otherwise my mech would be completely destroyed." Ye Hongwen shook his head helplessly. He was still obsessed with a mech at this moment. This Luo Cheng was really worrying. Fortunately, the ice would melt quickly in this weather, and the frozen parts would quickly return to normal. With Luo Cheng's experience as a lesson, no one dared to underestimate the ice spikes. Falling into a bloodthirsty ant colony was no small matter, it would be impossible to get out of it. Lin Miaomiao swatted away several flying ants that were about to approach her with a sword, but when she turned around, she saw that Liu Caoyer's tattered mecha was still stranded here, so she couldn't help muttering, "This guy is going to die? There's not a single part of his mecha that's intact, and he still doesn't retreat." Just as she was about to remind Ye Hongwen, Aoksu also muttered, "Master Miaomiao, don't just talk about others, look at me, my body is also bald here and there, it's so ugly." "Shut up, if you keep nagging, I'll go back and change your coat to a gray one," Lin Miaomiao threatened casually. Aoksu was depressed. Such a master was too hateful. Could she apply for a replacement? Liu Caoyer, who was unwilling to leave, was forcibly sent away. Zhu Chen directly grabbed the tattered mecha and threw it a few hundred meters away. In addition, Gu Qingheng also said something, so she had no choice but to return to the ship. After Liu Caoyer left, Feng Liken connected to Lin Miaomiao's private channel and said with a hint of melancholy, "Caoyer's been a little impatient lately, always trying to show off." "I know," Lin Miaomiao sighed. Liken had recently advanced, and Zixin had also reached the brink of level 4, but Caoyer was still stagnant. Despite her hard work, her results were minimal. This time, the boss appointing her as deputy manager to deputy fleet Gu was a big blow to her, Feng Liken sighed. While being the deputy manager to a superior was prestigious, everyone knew that those chosen for the position were mecha pilots who were more hardworking than talented. "Don't even think about it," Lin Miaomiao slashed a soldier ant that was about to rub against her. "We should try to comfort her when we get a chance. Being an adjutant is actually a good career path. Kinkyo isn't a difficult commander to serve, Fang Licken thought about it and agreed. Considering Kaya's situation, being an adjutant would be better than being an ordinary soldier. Besides, there were many mecha divisions with less talent in the fleet, so it wasn't hard to guess why Kaya had gotten such an opportunity. After a while of wandering thoughts, Fang Licken returned to normal. Losing focus during battle was tantamount to seeking death. She was still young and didn't have any desire for an early death and a new life. Wow, such a big, beautiful ant, Baijin exclaimed in the main channel. Is this the bloodthirsty ant queen? Lin Miaomiao's heart stirred, and she turned to look towards the ant nest. She saw a giant white bloodthirsty ant crawling out from the nest. It was less than a meter wide, but over 2 meters long, its 2 white antennae waving constantly on its head. After emerging from its burrow, the white bloodthirsty ant stirred, unfurling a pair of icy white wings. These wings, twice the size of its body, were covered in intricate yet delicate patterns, appearing so thin they could be shattered. However, these wings proved anything but flimsy. With a gentle flap, it soared into the air, charging towards Lin Miaomiao and the others with murderous intent, trailed by a swarm of powerful soldier ants. Yi Hongwen's eyes sharpened, and he controlled a black lotus to slash the surrounding flying ants. Without waiting for the others to attack, he leaped towards the white bloodthirsty ant. Seeing this, several level 5 mecha operators dispatched their current opponents and followed. This queen ant looked to be more than level 5, and Yi Hongwen was already having a tough time dealing with it. They needed to distract the soldier ants behind her. Everyone, come back to your senses. What's so great about a queen ant? The important thing is to eliminate your opponents immediately, Gu Qingheng shouted over the main channel. Master Miaomiao, those pesky ants are about to jump on me, Aoxa yelled in frustration. What's so good about that mutant ant? It's not even as pretty as me. Lin Miaomiao was stunned. This lousy mecha was truly impressive. It actually compared itself to a strange beast. It was simply unbearable to watch. Speechless, Lin Miaomiao could only say dryly, hurry up and kill it. You're talking too much nonsense. The queen ant was more than she could handle right now. It would be better to kill a few more bloodthirsty ants. However, the ant cakes on the ground were too much of an eyesore. Brother Brick was too powerful, so she had to admit defeat. How about she get a brick to play with when she got back? Master, focus. Don't let the flying ants get close to you again. My body is about to be destroyed, Aoxu said, showing off again. This was a rare opportunity to scold her master, and she wasn't going to let it go. Shut up, Lin Miaomiao scolded with a stern face, just cooperate with me to kill the blood-sucking ants. If you say another word, I will paint you like the queen ant. Aoxu was defeated again. As expected, its simplicity and innocence could not defeat its sinister master. Chapter 423, The Queen Ant's Talents and Skills. The queen ant couldn't hold back any longer and came out, and the bloodthirsty ants in the cave also came out in droves. For a moment, everyone was caught in a melee again, but at this time they were all a little tired and would get hurt if they were not careful. Everyone cheer up, there are only these blood-sucking ants. After we kill them, we can go back to the ship to rest, Luo Cheng shouted in the main channel, cheering everyone up. Ask the little cook to give us a snack after we go back. Lin Miaomiao was angry. Captain Luo, what do you mean? I've been fighting hard for a long time, and you want me to go to the kitchen and work hard for a long time after I get home? Luo Cheng laughed dryly. I'm just talking casually, don't take it to heart. Besides, the snack doesn't have to be tonight, we can wait until you've rested well, that's more like it. Lin Miaomiao felt satisfied, and agreed mercifully, I'll have a snack after I go back and rested well. How about barbecue? Great, I want to eat grilled fish, roasted lamb, roasted pig. Everyone instantly became energetic. While fighting hard to kill the blood-sucking ants, they were discussing what to grill deliciously. Then someone timidly asked, besides barbecue, can we add a soup? Like Buddha jumps over the wall, the main channel fell silent. This guy's idea was too good to be true. Well done. The ingredients for Buddha jumps over the wall might have been considered a luxury in ancient times, but in the interstellar age, they were just common ingredients, ready to be made whenever you wanted. However, Lin Miaomiao refused. We can't make Buddha jumps over the wall right now. We don't have enough ingredients on board. We'll wait until we get back to base. Chatting and laughing, everyone seemed to forget their fatigue as they bravely battled the bloodthirsty ants. Even as they fought tooth and nail, Yi Hongwen engaged the queen ant. The queen ant appeared only a few times larger than the soldier ants, but her power was dozens of times greater. Even a level 6 mecha pilot would have struggled to subdue her quickly. Pah, what a level 5 beast. It's probably already over level 6, probably almost level 7. Boss, are you any good at this? Luo Cheng sighed as he pummeled the soldier ants, accidentally running into the queen ant's attack range. The queen ant, already at a disadvantage, was already frantic. Seeing another iron beast charging at her, she showed no mercy. With a flap of her wings, she pounced on the mech and gnawed away, instantly tearing a large hole through Luo Cheng's mech's hull. Be careful, Yi Hongwen said, speeding over. He didn't let Black Lotus pull the queen ant away to free Luo Cheng, but swung his sword straight at its hindquarters. The strike didn't cleave the queen ant in two, but instead bounced back after impact. Fortunately, the pain caused the queen ant to release her bite and leave Luo Cheng's mech, furiously seeking revenge. Oh my god, how could the queen ant be so awesome? Luo Cheng was so shocked that his face turned pale. The moment they'd exchanged blows, her mecha cabin had been gnawed through. And yet, it was invulnerable to swords and spears. Its defenses were incredible. I was so scared. I almost died here. Yi Hongwen's mouth twitched as he dodged the queen ant's icy arrows and slashed at an approaching soldier ant. He said coldly, Luo Cheng, focus. You haven't stopped talking since the beginning. Cheer up everyone. That's fine, but interrupting his battle was nothing. Was that courting death? I just wanted to help, Luo Cheng said, feeling deeply wronged. No need for that. Yi Hongwen swatted the queen ant's massive body aside, commanding Black Lotus to retrieve a laser rifle from his arsenal. The level 6 alien beast's defenses were too formidable. Swords and spears alone wouldn't be enough to penetrate and kill it. Okay, I'll go help them clean out the other bloodthirsty ants. Luo Cheng retreated from the melee. Even with a hole in his mecha's cabin, the ordinary bloodthirsty ants posed no threat to him. Yi Hongwen breathed a sigh of relief and focused on attacking the queen ant. Laser bursts. Destroy those two antennae first. A barrage of lasers pelted the queen ant, but unfortunately, it was easily dodged. Yi Hongwen immediately switched from bursts to scattered fire, widening the attack range. Even if the queen ant ran as fast as she could, she wouldn't escape unscathed. A blinding flash of white light followed, and several holes were pierced in the queen ant's wings. Her body shook violently, and she began to frantically flap her wings to maintain her balance. The 6th level queen ant had awakened her intelligence. Unlike the lower level bloodthirsty ants, she wouldn't charge forward even though she knew she couldn't win. Seeing herself on the verge of defeat, her wings severely damaged, the queen ant unleashed an icy arrow as thick as a human arm at the Black Lotus, then turned and fled north. You want to run? That's not easy. Yi Hongwen refused to give in. He controlled Black Lotus with a single sword, shattering the incoming icy arrows. He then pursued at full speed, firing the laser rifle in his left hand at the queen ant's transparent wings. The queen ant dodged several attacks, but her wings were still damaged. Repeatedly battered, they could no longer carry her forward. Fighting was unsuccessful, and escaping was impossible. The queen ant was completely enraged and turned to charge Black Lotus again, flapping her wings vigorously, sending gusts of cold air emanating from her. Yi Hongwen felt a chill in his heart. The queen ant's condition made him uneasy. If he remembered correctly, all beasts above the 6th level possessed innate skills, but these skills weren't used for escape, but for annihilation with the enemy. Master, sometimes I feel restless but don't know what to do. If we analyze and reflect carefully, we will find that some things must be done. If so, perhaps we can still see the sun tomorrow, Black Lotus suddenly said inexplicably. I don't understand, Yi Hongwen frowned. Please speak human language. I'm not human, Halion muttered. Yi Hongwen was annoyed. Halion had really learned bad habits from Aoxu, even using her rhetoric. Halion surrendered. I'm just saying, shouldn't we just evade them for a while? I have a feeling this ant has bad intentions. Yi Hongwen was speechless. They had already attacked its nest and severely damaged it. The queen ant, cornered, was probably desperate to destroy it. How could he expect it to show any mercy? But Halion was right. It was right to evade the attack for a while. Yi Hongwen's mind raced, controlling Halion to soar hundreds of feet. The queen ant, unwilling to give in, saw this. Once her innate ability was activated, it couldn't be stopped, so she pursued without hesitation. However, her battered wings were constantly leaking air, slowing her pursuit. Before she could catch up, her innate ability exploded, like a brilliant burst of fireworks, high in the sky, accompanied by a resounding explosion. Near the ant nest, Shen Yu, who had killed all the bloodthirsty ants and was cleaning up the battlefield, was horrified. The use of large firearms was forbidden in the forest, so the explosion definitely wasn't caused by the boss. Could it be the queen ant? Yi Hongwen, what happened to you? Lin Miaomiao shouted anxiously, abandoning the battlefield she was halfway through and rushing towards the explosion. Not only her, but everyone else also rushed in the same direction. Chapter 424: A false alarm. Everyone was too preoccupied with the captain's safety to bother cleaning up the shattered battlefield. Only a few of Yi Hongwen's idiot robots were diligently collecting the corpses of the bloodthirsty ants into storage. Rushing to the explosion site, they found it a sea of inferno. Dense trees blazed fiercely, and tongues of fire danced across the grass. A gentle breeze blew the blazing flames, seemingly unstoppable, searing them with a frightening intensity. Lin Miaomiao's heart sank at the sight. With such intense fire and scorching temperatures, getting inside to retrieve him would be difficult. If he passed out and couldn't get out in time, even his mecha would melt. Nothing's wrong, she prayed silently, her body tense and her eyes fixed on the flames. Perhaps he was still inside, waiting for her to rescue him. Yi Hongwen, where are you? Lin Miaomiao, commanding Aoksu, was about to rush into the flames, but Gu Qingheng and Luo Cheng pulled her back. She cried out anxiously, "Let me go. I want to go in and find him." The others, though not rushing into the flames, were also spreading out around the blaze. Luo Cheng had already sent an alarm to the Shanyu, commanding Zhao Cheng to bring the warship over to put out the fire. Just as Lin Miaomiao was struggling to rush into the flames, Black Lotus burst out of the flames, covered in dust. The red lotus on its shell had been tarnished by the smoke and flames. Ahem, Yi Hongwen's deep voice became hoarse, and he tried to speak, but a series of coughs escaped. When the coughing stopped, he said, "Miaomiao, I'm here." Lin Miaomiao breathed a sigh of relief the moment she saw Black Lotus rush out. The tension in her mind instantly lost control, and she felt weak all over, slumping in her seat. She opened her mouth to say something, but nothing came out. "Hey," Luo Cheng said in surprise when he noticed Aoksa falling. "Little cook, why did you fall down? Quickly control the mecha. We still have to put out the fire." After making sure the captain was safe, the next thing to consider was putting out the fire. Gu Qingheng had already walked away to take care of this matter. Luo Ben was going to go too, but had to stay because Aoksa suddenly lost control and fell down. Yi Hongwen flew over after he recovered his breath, took Aoksa and walked back, found a place to land away from the sea of fire, then opened the mecha cabin and coaxed in the direction of Aoksu. "Miaomiao, I know you are just scared. Can you open the door of the mecha cabin?" After coaxing her, he waited patiently for a while. After about 4 or 5 minutes, Aoksu's cabin door slowly opened. Lin Miaomiao sat in the driver's seat and looked at him expressionlessly. "Miaomiao, your mental toughness isn't going to work," Yi Hongwen actually laughed. "Since you've chosen me, you'll have to learn to be strong from now on. Today was just a false alarm, and you were so frightened you couldn't speak. If I get seriously injured on the battlefield someday, won't you faint?" Lin Miaomiao rolled her eyes, her lips curled slightly. "What if I suddenly feel some regret now?" She had been genuinely frightened earlier, but after relaxing, she felt a bit too lazy to speak. In that moment, she suddenly wondered if anything really happened to Yi Hongwen. Would she be able to handle it? But then she realized that life is full of opportunities for accidents, and being a soldier is just more dangerous. She was a soldier herself. And the more friends she made in the army, the more chances of encountering accidents in the future. If she wasn't strong enough, she might as well just go home and run a restaurant. Although she encouraged herself and tried to comfort herself, she inexplicably didn't want to answer when she heard Yi Hongwen calling her, wanting him to worry about her too. Just be willful just this once. Lin Miaomiao lowered her eyes, mentally telling herself she could only be willful this once. From now on, she'd have to be more composed and not cause any more trouble. Glancing at Yi Hongwen furtively, she feigned a snarl. "Why aren't you talking? You haven't answered my question yet." Lin Miaomiao expected him to be anxious or upset, but unexpectedly, he smiled. His usually stern face was adorned with a brilliant smile that made her heart skip a beat, a smile that made her feel like a flower blooming. Then she heard Yi Hongwen's deep, sexy voice say, "It doesn't matter. You're already mine. Even if I regret it, I won't let you go." Before he finished speaking, Yi Hongwen had already jumped into Aoxa's mecha cabin, scooped her up in his arms, and kissed her red lips, who is always prone to angry words. Even the beauty trap had been used. Lin Miaomiao cried foul in her heart, but she didn't struggle, nor did she pretend to reject the kiss. Instead, she embraced her man with a backhanded embrace, enjoying it. Well, she likes to hear the mighty and domineering love words, so she will not let go of this iceberg. Even if someone wants to snatch it away, she will beat the person away. The kiss lasted for a long time, until both of them couldn't breathe smoothly. Yi Hongwen reluctantly moved his lips away, panting softly, "Don't say angry words in the future, I will be sad, understand?" Lin Miaomiao pouted and answered very uncooperatively, "Of course I won't say angry words unless you are in danger in the future." This, Yi Hongwen couldn't help but smile bitterly. After joining the army, who could guarantee that he would not be in danger? He could only promise, "I will try my best." Lin Miaomiao was of course dissatisfied with such an answer, but she also knew that it was impossible to get a definite answer, so she didn't have the interest to make trouble, and turned to ask what happened just now. Yi Hongwen faithfully recounted the battle. He had already flown away when the bloodthirsty Ant Queen exploded, but the Queen, consumed by resentment, refused to take him down with her before her death. She burned her wings, and with the blazing flames, she crashed into the Black Lotus, dragging him down with her. He managed to pierce the Queen with his greatsword, but she was no pushover. She mustered her strength and unleashed a barrage of ice arrows at the Black Lotus, freezing the mech and losing control, sending it plummeting. After falling into the flames, the ice on the Black Lotus quickly melted, and Yi Hongwen scrambled to command it to escape. By then, he was preoccupied with escaping, never having the time to respond to his girlfriend's calls. "These alien beasts are too abominable. They want to drag me down with them before they die," Lin Miaomiao said angrily. "Also, why do even alien beasts know how to self-destruct? Could it be that this has become their ultimate skill?" Yi Hongwen smiled helplessly. "Only mecha masters above level 6 can do this, because alien beasts have a crystal core in their brains. When alien beasts above level 6 open their spiritual intelligence, they will comprehend a natural skill. That skill is not for escaping, but for dying together." Lin Miaomiao felt a little dizzy. Aren't natural skills supposed to be used to save lives? How could they be used to die together? Isn't this a bit abnormal? There's no way. Yi Hongwen also found it incredible. Maybe there's no escape in the alien beast's inheritance, only death in battle. Chapter 425 Firefighting. Many of the alien beast's thoughts were incomprehensible to humans. Lin Miaomiao, puzzled but unable to find answers, could only regretfully give up. If she had the chance to see Hu Zhi again, perhaps she could ask. Having comforted his girlfriend, Yi Hongwen joined the firefighting effort. Upon entering the fleet, each mecha operator was issued several fire extinguishers as a precaution. While it's true that large-scale flammable and hot weapons can't be used in forested areas, there are always unexpected situations, such as life or death situations. The fire extinguishers issued by the military were all the height of a person, and were carried directly by the mechas to prevent accidents during the fight. If a fire became too large to extinguish, they could retreat in time. The fire caused by the bloodthirsty Ant Queen was clearly difficult to put out. Even with everyone spraying it with extinguishers, it was of little use. The raging flames raged through the forest, spreading outward, and even the air became scorching hot. In such a situation, fire extinguishers were completely ineffective. "Boss, the fire extinguisher isn't much use. What should we do next?" Luo Cheng's face was grimacing. He felt utterly dejected. This disgusting fire was truly a nuisance. Yi Hongwen rubbed his brow and asked wearily, "Has Zhao Cheng replied yet? When will he arrive?" The battleship had a large supply of water. When the fire extinguisher was useless, they could only see if they could put it out with water. Energy Star had a forest coverage rate of 65%, as uninhabited areas were all connected. If they couldn't put out this fire, the losses would be incalculable. He said it would take another half a minute, Luo Cheng answered truthfully. "But the fire is so intense, even if we used all the water on the ship, I'm afraid it wouldn't be put out. At best, it can be temporarily contained. Being able to contain it is a good thing," Yi Hongwen sighed. "Let's get the fire under control first. The rest of you put away your fire extinguishers and go clear the unburned areas. Pull out the grass and branches, creating a path for separation." At the captain's words, the mech operators transformed into gardeners. Of course, The mechas' massive arms couldn't handle delicate tasks like weeding, so they used various weapons to chop trees and dig grass. Whenever this happened, Brother Benzoon was always the most worried. His brick couldn't chop trees or dig grass, it could only create a large hole in the ground, a skill that was clearly not needed. So he became the cleaning man, the others digging in the front while he moved the excavated grass and threw it into the sea of fire, clearing a wide path. To prevent the fire from spreading, they cleared a path 100 meters long. Brother Benzoon's mech alone was clearly insufficient for mopping up the mess. Fortunately, Yi Hongwen dispatched a few idiot robots to help after they'd finished collecting the corpses of the blood-sucking ants. Lin Miaomiao leaned back in the mech's cabin, cracking sunflower seeds while directing Aoksa to dig. Such mindless labor required little mental energy and little concentration, so she felt a bit bored. Just as she was about to create a group to chat with a few friends, an invitation chimed through her mech's communication channel. She glanced casually at the initiator, seeing it was Liu Gadier, who had already returned to the ship. She readily accepted the invitation and entered the temporary team chat channel, only to hear someone complain, "The fleet's backup mechas are so insanely insane. They can't even understand what digging means. They're not even 1/10 as smart as my Kyanzi." Kyanzi was the name of Liu Gadier's beloved mech, a direct reference to its color, indirectly indicating its owner's poor naming skills. The backup robots are only temporary, and their intelligence is low. What do you expect from them? Yu Zixin scoffed coldly. You deserve it, I think. It's your fault for not protecting the mech properly. Are you happy now? Kyanzi will have to stay in the repair room for at least 10 days, half a month. So serious. Lin Miaomiao was surprised. It seemed like it only took 10 days or half a month to build a new mech. Given Kyanzi's condition, could it be that everything except the mech's intelligence center would need to be replaced? It's not serious, actually, Liu Gadier said hesitantly. There's just a crucial part we're out of stock on board, and we can't replace it until we get back. Lin Miaomiao glanced at the surveillance camera, slightly adjusted the direction of her digging, and then asked casually, what part? Liu Gadier fell silent, suspiciously, as if the answer was difficult to come up with. Her silence only emboldened Yu Zixin's eagerness to watch the fun. As an insider who had been observing the entire process from the repair room, he happily shared the news about Gadier's mech's condition. Yu Zixin's mech was relatively lightly damaged, so he waited there for the repairman to fix it, lest his crewmates cut in line. When Jinzi was brought into the repair room, she was in a terrible state. A missing arm wasn't the biggest issue, there was a massive hole in the mech's cabin, and even the monitor screen was shattered and unresponsive. The only thing missing from stock was the monitor screen. As everyone knows, mech monitor screens are incredibly high quality. Simply dismantle them, soak them in water for half an hour, or hit them with a hammer, and they'll last for decades. All mechas in the fleet are regularly sent to the repair room for a full inspection to prevent any accidents. The monitor screen mounted in front of the driver's seat was shattered, but the mech repairman found it intact. So, how did the screen break? How did it break? Lin Miaomiao's curiosity was piqued. Gadier, did you break it yourself? Nonsense. Why would I do such a thing? Liu Gadier, feeling wronged, jumped up and down in frustration, forgetting she was digging weeds. Everyone watched as a stupid mech lurched in place. Ahem, Lin Miaomiao said awkwardly. Gadier, why are you so excited? Stop immediately. Gu Qingheng, who is organizing the weed digging operation, couldn't help but remind her, the team member in the backup mech, please hurry up. Liu Gadier continued to work with a sense of despair, ignoring the group of gloating friends in the temporary chat room. The mechas were powerful in combat and also incredibly fast at digging weeds. With 2 warships spraying water to control the fire, they quickly cleared a 100-meter wide barrier around the sea of fire. With the isolation belt, the fire could not spread further, and everyone picked up the fire extinguisher again. It is everyone's responsibility to put out the forest fire. The fight lasted for 2 or 3 hours, and the firefighting took another 2 or 3 hours. When they were done, everyone collapsed in the mecha cabin and didn't want to move. Even though their stomachs were growling with hunger, no one was willing to use their mental strength to fly to the battleship parked not far away. Lin Miaomiao's body was unwilling to move, but her eyes were moving around on the monitoring screen. Aoksa was facing the area ravaged by the flames. The place that was originally covered with green grass and trees had turned into scorched earth. The area within a few miles was black and looked very creepy. It's just a level 6 alien beast, and the power of its self-explosion is so great. If a transformed alien beast like Huzi self-explodes, I'm afraid the entire planet will be burned down. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.